Now we can start this video in a much better place. This is kind of like part 2. Part 1 was called Hell Karma. Basically, it says every action has consequences, and we got it all out about, you know, on this walk, why are we here? What are we in? What is this? And we addressed a whole lot. Now, anybody who listens to that video who's really looking for truth, now you're in a position where you could like say, okay, I'm going to get my priorities right. I believe that my actions will have consequences. I'm also going to follow that advice to get to know God personally. Now, this ain't no Christian witnessing, nothing. This is all facts. But when that person does that, and again, online nowadays, all this information is readily available. Because I have the Walk in Spirit video that's on this channel, the spiritual channel, seen and heard on YouTube. But even like out there, how to know God personally. And remember, the key word is personally, because you're going to always have people telling you to come to some type of building or something. I'm saying there's a time and place for everything. But you should always maintain your control over your life, because you're going to answer those questions. Like when whatever happened in the Garden of Eden, first thing he did was Cain. He said, Adam. Why did he call Adam first? He knew who sinned. He knew what would happen. Why didn't he call Eve first? But he had given the Adam came first, according to the, if you believe the account. Adam came first, and he had given the commandment directly to Adam to carry out. So he's going to come to Adam because he had given the commandment to Adam to carry out. So Adam, how did you let this happen? Basically, he was asking. Now this person's on a journey. They're waking up. I gave him references. And again, whenever you go to anybody's channel, when you look to the right, there's other channels that may be saying similar stuff. You can go there. Or you can put it in the YouTube search engine, that person's name, and other channels may come up. So it's plenty of information to get a person going on where we are, what this really is, and why our actions matter, and why we should never take bubblegum astrology or shortcuts, even if it means, oh, well, if I just would have played ball, she would have gave me the greatest sex I ever had in my life. Yeah, but what would have happened after that? See, we don't think about that part. What about when a child's born and nobody wants it? You're still going to be held accountable for it, especially if they choose something that kills that child. Tries to say, well, that's not life. Yeah, it is life. That's the whole purpose of having sex, is to create life. So how is that not life? So the devil's a liar. So we learned all this in the last video, but I just wanted to solidify it. But once you get on the right course, now let's say you did try to get on the right course, but you stumbled and fell. Okay? Again, I'm sure I covered that in the Walk in Spirit video about repenting. Because he's always a merciful God, a gracious God. He just doesn't like the disrespect that's being shown. And again, astrology was never meant to be bubblegum astrology. Again, if you're asking God about love or career and all that, hopefully you're asking that to bring those things in harmony with his will. Not just to better your pocket or to fulfill you sexually. That's when you're using astrology for the wrong reasons. And again, that's going to be something you're going to pay for. Either karmic debt or straight out God disciplining you through hell or some other means. But without further ado, and remember, all this was proven and discussed in the first video chapter, which was really part 1 about karma and hell, or hell and karma. There are consequences to our actions. Now here we are. You're looking at two charts. On the left is a gentleman who requests this. And let me look at that again. Give me one moment. Because I'm going to pull up, not going to say the name, but for my own personal, I'm going to look up the name. Wanted to make sure. Definitely male. Because I had a person that had a male name, but they were feminine. They were female. So I want to make sure I'm doing everything correctly. And I am. Now, let's go back. Now he's asking about past life and karma. Now you can see his ascendant is Capricorn, so he's already going to be dealing with karma, because Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn deals with karma, and as you can see, his ascendant is 20 degrees. That is the Pluto judgment card. So he's going to have a connection to planet Pluto as well. And his EP is 13, which is the death card, which is Scorpio. And when you see Capricorn, he's probably an old soul, which means he's lived lifetimes before, which we will be getting into all of this. Not necessarily reading his natal chart, because we already did that recently, but now we're going more with the karmic debt. And also, right now, look to the chart on the right. The South Node is all about past life and karma. The North Node is in Cancer. The chart on the right, the transit chart for today, because today, April 10th, 2019, Wednesday, Jupiter went in retrograde at 24 degrees, and it's very close to that South Node or past life. But this gentleman is going to have some type of love coming his way. Sagittarius energy, if it's not already here. So in my opinion, he's requesting this at the right time. And he got a lot of advice. When you meet someone, like if I meet someone, one of the first things I want to tell them, astrology, and, going to try to let them know it's important and stuff like that. And hopefully they'll be a part of that. They may already be a part of that. Because that's going to be essential that you realize this is a spiritual situation and we hold ourselves accountable to God. And believe it or not, some people are with that. Like some females have not been dumbed down. Some females still want a man that is spiritual, and they'll work with you depending on what's going on. So that's why I say it's just better. Like I know now, it's better sometimes to just come out and tell people what it is. I mean, people talk trash. Like if I say I'm an ordained minister, it may be people talking trash. Or nowadays, like I said, because of all this bad news, once you say something like that, they just assume you're a pervert or a pedophile. And it's not like, you just got to be you. If you know you're not that, you got to just do you, because it's in the news all the time. But everybody that pursues a spiritual course is not necessarily like that. But unfortunately, a large amount of men, and in some degrees women, have been. All right. So this is going to be a very powerful read. And that's why I said the universe is kind of preparing him for what he will meet and how to avoid pitfalls. Now, that doesn't mean when you meet somebody, you push your beliefs on that person or you kind of like give them an ultimatum. What I am trying to say is somehow you kind of let them know this and that. And if you listen to the way I explained it, sometimes when you explain that to a person, especially if you could show them if they're willing to learn. Because like I said, if you're dealing with a person not willing to learn, that's why I learned. Because, before I grew up, so to say, I would blame myself, kind of. Let's just say the universe kept putting me and a female together, but for some reason we just couldn't click. I would kind of blame myself, well, maybe if I wasn't so, because my moon sign is a Capricornian, and they can be kind of cold. Maybe I shouldn't have been so cold, or maybe I should have goofed off a little bit, made her laugh a little bit more, like I used to do. Because my sun sign is Leo, so Leos know how to make you laugh. But the truth of the matter is, we're not children anymore. And we're on a planet, especially in this country that I'm in, they want to dumb you down. because they don't want you to be smart. Because the smarter you are, the more awake you become. The more awake you become, the more when you talk to other people, you're waking them up too. And they don't want that to happen. They went out of their way to dumb us down. And that's why I said that's why they call it a democracy. Demon. A democracy. Because the sole agenda is to keep you so fleshly and so dumbed down that you walk into hell on your own until you get in there. And then you realize you've been screwed. But guess what? You ain't coming out. Because that's what I'm trying to tell you. The reason why you're here right now is to find out your way to the presence of God. And that is through the, like, if you believe the Messianic route, it's the Messianic route. But I still believe, because the Bible gives you a prophet, I think his name was Balak. But he was connected to Balaam. But he knew God. Even though he wasn't a member of God's people, somehow he still knew God. So that verse alone tells you it is possible to know God. That's why I say that's the first step anybody should make. Take that step to get to know him. Because there's a better chance if God knows you, that when this the end of this particular age comes about, which we believe is soon, if God knows you, then you don't have to worry about perishing in the great fire that everybody talks about. I think the Hopi talk about the great fire too. The Quran talks about it. The Bible definitely talks about it. There's even a in the Midwest they do the Burning Man dance and stuff like that. That's kind of like the last day. See, the Hopi calls it the Great Purification. So that could be the burning with fire, but they also call it the Blue Kachina. All right, and then the Quran calls it the Day of Fire. So it says the arrival of hell, Judgment Day, powerful. And this is from Merciful Servant, all one word, Merciful Servant. It was made 3 years ago. So obviously he's talking about from the Quran. He says the arrival of hell, Judgment Day, power. And it's funny because I typed in Quran Day of Fire and that's what came up. And this one is by Adam Dawah, Adam Dawah, 9 months ago. The Day of Judgment in Hell, Fire in Islam. And if you just, some of the stuff to me is common sense, because you see that big old fire every day. Because that's how God works. When you study the Bible, God is always showing up with some type of fire. Either Jesus is showing up with some type of fire. John the Baptist and Jesus were always talking about fire. Some type of priest always got some type of fire. Some type of altar. They're always talking about some type of furnace in the Bible. Fire. His feet was like burned in a furnace. So constantly, Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden with a sword of fire that they couldn't enter it back in. So he's constantly putting fire in your face. So for somebody to think there's not a hell, it's just silly. So you do have to hold yourself accountable. And I hate to tell you this, but you're not supposed to be sleeping around with everybody. No matter how easy it is, and how some people make it so easy to jump in bed. But I keep trying to tell you, when you constantly sin against God, you're being filled up with spirits. And that's why they don't see nothing wrong with ungodliness. And the reason why they don't see nothing wrong with it, because they know they can never be back in the presence of God again. So they're going to take as many humans as they can with them. And that's why watch who you're around, watch who you contact with. All that stuff is real. All right. Also, in the last video, I had to stress this. A lot of this stuff is powerful. David and Bathsheba was powerful. And at the end of the day, God was behind it. God knew it was going to happen. God allowed it to happen, but he did punish David. And also, he killed the firstborn baby that was born in Bathsheba. But ironically, that made Solomon the next firstborn. And then what God did was, because Solomon was the firstborn son, he gave the throne to Solomon. That was Bathsheba's son. But David had another firstborn that should have been heir to the throne. But God rejected him and put Solomon in his place. And Solomon has always been connected with the dark and the unknown. But when you understand metaphysics, that's why they gave you a Old Testament and a New Testament. That's why they gave you a nighttime and a daytime. This is why they gave you a moon and a sun. So the more you study, the more you know that the people that put this together, whatever it is, Matrix, quarantine, whatever it is, whoever put this together knew what they were doing. We may not always like it or agree with it, but they pretty much know what they're doing. But you have to learn it. You can't fall for everything you see. And that's the hard part. Because whether you believe me or not, sex can be offered to you at any moment. But if you start to fornicate without repentance, then we just said hell. And we already talked about that in the first video, so we're not going to go into that again. But really what you're supposed to be doing is finding your place, like making sure God knows you. Because you should really believe that if you feel a certain way, that God understands it, especially if you take it to his attention. That's how God has to be real to you. And I honestly, I personally feel like this. If you're going anywhere and you don't feel that way, that like you're a friend of God and all that, then you're in the wrong location and you're under wrong teaching. And that's why my Walk in the Spirit video preps you for that. You got to believe God is real. It's almost like let's just say your family's called the Hard Rocks, and where you at, everybody know your family. So no matter where you at, you don't have no problem, because nobody want no problem with the Hard Rocks. And then you might be somewhere where they don't know who you are, so somebody try to bully you, and somebody go, yo, hold up, what you doing? He down with the Hard Rocks, and then bro, what? Oh man, I'm sorry, my bad. Please don't tell your family, man. I didn't know. So that's how it should be with God. Because that's why I'm saying the Bible gives you Joseph. He was like that. Everybody knew Joseph knew God. And when you get to that point, then you know. And then when you go to locations, you already know. If you've been doing your part, you'll have an idea what God expects and what he doesn't expect. And if you're somewhere where it's kind of fake or phony, you probably ain't going to want to be there. You're probably going to be ready to get up out of there. But you're better off walking with God than walking with a bunch of people who act like they serving God, but they not. Because all that's going to be judgment. one way or another. And the fact of the matter is, these people better hope that he judges them before they die. Because if he doesn't, their next step will be that hellfire. And that's eternal. You don't get out of that. So a lot of people are probably going to have to go through some type of wake-up call, shake-up, giving them the opportunity to repent. And that's why I'm trying to tell people this is the kind of stuff you should be studying. In America, they just want freedom, freedom. I'll dress any way I want to. It's my body. I'll do what I want. Oh, it's not a baby. That's not a life. I could kill it if I could get rid of it if I want. I don't want it. And they think that shit is cool. They really believe that shit. They really believe that. So those people, like I said, they've already cut off any connection to God that they could have, because you can only connect to God through the Holy Spirit. And God will work with you. That's why I said I could sit here and give you a technical way of doing it, but the main thing you got to do is try to get to know God first. Be honest with Him. I gave you some steps in Walk in the Spirit video, and for people that really want to walk. And like I said, when you get to that level, when all you see is God, despite people saying you crazy, despite people talking about you, talking crazy about you, then you at that level. Now, as far as relationships, you got to find somebody that kind of respects that level that I said, because otherwise you're gonna make the same mistake David did, and he messed up everything and his relationship with God because of Bathsheba. But Bathsheba made it all the way to the end with David. She was with him on his deathbed, and mystically speaking, they don't talk about Bathsheba a lot, but mystically and esoterically speaking, they know that Bathsheba was essential to what God really is. Because he told you, I'm the darkness and the light. I'm the good and the evil. So you can't have God with just one. That's Isaiah chapter 45, 6 to 7. But just because God's the darkness and the light, you got to be careful. Now, does God have a dark priesthood and stuff like that? He might. But that's their business. Now, me, I've always stayed in the light because I'm a Leo. And my sun sign is the sun. I've never been interested in these secrets and all that other than to expose them. That's what I do. Now, have I ever gotten offers, like supernatural offers? Yeah, but I don't take them. I don't turn them down because I have no interest for anything in the dark. For me, I don't like things that are hidden. But no, there's worlds, there's dimensions, there's different worlds, all kind of worlds. But you gotta learn how to walk your purpose. You gotta walk your truth with God. And that's the whole thing, walking in the spirit and stuff like that. And then you're able to maneuver through this world, even though this world is always trying to bombard you with some type of temptation or some type of bullshit. But you will begin to walk through it. And like I said, the best thing you can learn how to do, first you got to stand on your own 2 feet spiritually, but you learn how to call out to God. Because that's what I'm saying. I think I said the name was the Hard Rock. See, once you call out to that family, you ain't got nothing to worry about. And if you really do want to be with somebody, take it to God. And I'm sure if where you need to be, none of this stuff is really that hard. All this stuff is choices. All this stuff is choices. And with God helping you, you could say that's the right choice. All right. So right now we are 5 days from a new moon. In 4 days, I think it's a grand trine. And it has to do with planets that are associated with fire signs. That's in 4 days. Now the next full moon is in 9 days. Now it's a lot of energy going on right now. And we're going to talk about those energies. And that's why I put both these charts together. And you just got to give me a couple of minutes, because not minutes necessarily, but give me a little bit, because I'm like looking at everything. So right now I'm looking at the chart on the right. Now this chart for April 10th, 2019 is for 1 p.m. today. That's around the time that Jupiter went retrograde. It's now 4:35 p.m. Things may have changed a little bit. The ascendant is Leo, which that is my sun sign, Leo. Again, I'm looking at the chart on the right. And it's 4 degrees. Now 4 degrees can be Aries energy, and this is the first house of Aries. So it can be like really aggressive, even with Leo might be kind of aggressive. And 4 degrees can also be like something that's pragmatic or Saturnian energy as well. Which, if you see, that is what I'm doing, because I'm pragmatic, Capricornian. They even call Capricorn the architect, because it's like laying a foundation down. And what I'm trying to say is, it's kind of like when martial arts movies show you certain things. Like a martial arts movie will show you somebody that they took from the ground up and they trained. Now he knows, he's been trained. He knows how to fight. He knows certain universal truths. He knows spiritual stuff, mystical stuff. But then he's on his own path. And that, like the movie Kung Fu with David Carradine, that's how that was. He was trained by monks, but it came a time when they finally told him, Grasshopper, it's time for you to go. So no two people are really going to agree with the same thing. But that's because spirit, this is John chapter 3. The spirit is called the wind. The wind lists where it wants. In other words, the spirit wants to go where it wants to go. And even God told Moses, I'll show favor to whoever I want to show favor. And that's why the more wiser you become, the more you learn to mind your business. And you can't worry about the next person. You know what I'm saying? It's just not your place. Because like I said, the more you understand about the divine feminine, she identifies herself with the young girl, the woman, the old woman, the saint or the priestess, or the whore. So it's none of my business what's going on over here. As long as it's not affecting me, it's none of my business about this or that. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't understand the full creation. And again, Isaiah 45, 6-7. I am the darkness, I am the light. I create the good, I create the evil. Or I create good, I create light. I create darkness, I create light. I create the good, I create the evil. It's all from God. And another, the Gnostic, I think it's the book of Matthew, but it's in the Gnostic book of Matthew. Little baby Jesus was in a cave on his mother's lap. Now they didn't know that Jesus could walk or talk. He was just a little baby in a cave on his mother's lap. But then all the beasts came in. All the things that we consider evil came in. All the beasts and the dragons and the serpents, they all came in to see Jesus. So the people were terrified, because they had all these beasts coming in. At that moment, Jesus jumped off his mother's lap. They didn't even know this little baby could walk. He jumped off his mother's lap and he walked up to all those beasts that he created, because the Bible tells you he's the creator. And he starts to talk to them. They didn't even know he could talk. So he's actually being friendly towards these things that we call evil. He's petting them and everything, because he's God. So if you're listening, you understand why Solomon through Bathsheba may have been necessary. Because Solomon was known for connections with prostitutes, whores, everything God said don't do, Solomon did, and Solomon was connected to evil spirits. But again, I'm not telling you what to believe or don't believe, or what to do or not to do. I'm just telling you my many, many decades of walking with God. You can't stop God from being creator. And you got to learn how to mind your business. And the more you want, because that's why Job got in trouble. See, the book of Job, Job was trying to be Jesus. Job was trying to save the day for everybody. And God is a jealous God. So how dare you stand in my position? How dare you try to help these people? These people aren't calling out to me for help. They're calling out to you, Job. You're stealing my glory. And that's why he said, where were you? Like, who? You think you're God? Well, where were you when I created this? So if you really understand what the book of Job was all about, it was God's jealousy against Job, because Job became a righteous man, and he thought being a righteous man meant helping everybody. It doesn't. People, they got to have problems, because without the problems, they're not going to call out to God. They're going to call out to us, just like what you see out here on YouTube. They don't want to deal with me because I tell them the truth. They'd rather run, go somewhere else to some idiot that's going to lie to them. They don't want the truth. They don't want to grow up. They want to be Toys R Us kids all their life. And they're mad at me for telling them the truth. But they're also going to wish they listened to me the day of the judgment comes. Because then that's when all the games stop. All the lies, all the games, and everything stops. And all these things they betrayed God for are not going to be there when judgment comes. They're going to haul ass. Just like the Garden of Eden. Nobody stood up in the Garden of Eden and said, hey, listen, yeah, you're right, we did do it, but we did it for this reason. Everybody he asked what happened lied and blamed the next person. But when God wasn't around, they was all talking trash about, oh, we don't want to listen to him, and we can make our own decisions. We don't need him telling. But when he showed up, they didn't have nothing to say but blaming the next person. And that's going to be the same way when judgment comes again. Everybody's a tough guy until it's time to pay that puppet. So give me a moment. What I'm doing right now, I'm loading this video up. So just give me a second. I got to do a couple of things. And if this is moving slow, I'm just going to put this on pause. I'm hoping I don't have to. But right yeah, let me go ahead. All right. Now remember, Capricorn also will deal with the 10th house. And we will be looking at everything and talking about everything. See, now when you look at this 10th house, you have Libra, and again, 24 degrees. That's always the return. 15 degrees, again, is the devil card. That's Capricorn energy. And that's all about two people being bound to the material or physical world and not letting spirit in. And that's what I keep trying to tell y'all. That's what you see out here on YouTube. They're not going to astrology, any of that stuff for the right reason. It's always a selfish reason why they're going. So you love or career or finances or, oh, I want to be a singer or some stuff. But it's never like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? It's not asking that questions like that. Anything will really get to know God better, or how can they get on this spiritual course? It's nothing really like that. And that's why I said you see very few astrologers, card readers out here that are dealing with those topics. Everything's about love and all this other stuff. Like, all that stuff is good, but let's just be honest. Like, the only problem I have is, why can't people be honest? You and I both know how relationships go and come. You and I both know how people jump in marriages and then jump out. You and I both know how high the immorality rate is. So why are we acting like it's a love story when we all know that that's not the case? And then you get mad when somebody brings that up. It's not like I'm lying. It's not like I'm just bitter. You know, like all these people are happily together and I'm just bitter. No, the statistics will prove my point alone. So I'm saying, why do they put so much emphasis on something that is not consistent? But you won't put that same energy into why you're here, what your purpose is, and stuff like that. It's like most of them don't care about past life and all, but that's the stuff that you're still supposed to be working on. This is all judgment. That's why you see these number 20s. That's what I'd want to know. I'm not trying to burn in nobody's hell. I don't want to keep having a life of bad karma. Like even when you look at his Venus retrograde, again, 20 degrees. So this is past life stuff that really needs to be viewed. And people and this is what I say, well, you know, all the stuff is relationship related. Well, where's my other half at if this is relationship related? This would be my answer. I don't know. They may pop up in this life, they may not. But you know enough. So I ain't worrying about another motherfucker. I'm worrying about me. Because I'm not trying to do this back and forth and all that. And that's why I say, when I meet somebody, it's like, where are they at or where are we going? Because it's not just going to be a love story for me. I done did that too many times since I've been on this planet. And ain't none of them broads nowhere near me now. Because that stuff don't last. That satisfies the flesh. That's what the devil card is about. They're bound to the physical. They're bound to the flesh. But then, like I said, and there's another reason. See, this is what they don't tell you. They say, oh, both of those, the couple, they're bound to the devil. But they're not really bound. If you look close, they could walk away if they want to. They're not bound. And that's my point exactly. That's why they're not bound, because they are going to walk away. As soon as they get what they want from that situation, or as soon as that situation gets on their nerves, they're going to do like the rest of these people on this planet do. Opt out. Opt out. Nowadays, I'm sure you all know that you could get married, and in a very short time after you get married, for $300 or $400, you can get a divorce. I remember when it used to be kind of hard to get a divorce. Not no more. Go to your corner store pawn shop and ask for Lenny in the back. So when you walk in a pawn shop, the guy say, "Hey, how's it going? What are you pawning today?" I want to see Lenny. Is Lenny here? Yeah, he's in the back. Hey, Lenny, hey, I'm married. I want to get out of it. Hey, no problem. You got 300, 400. Let's go. You walked in married. You walk out thanks to Lenny with a certificate, and you can go tell your husband or your wife that we're not married no more. Lenny took care of it for $300. And no, I didn't need your signature. So if you think this is in front of the devil, designed to take you down to hell, then something's wrong with you. But then you have people that say, oh, it ain't no hell. And that's how I know I'm talking to somebody that don't deal with facts. And like I'm probably talking to somebody that's under the influence of some spirits. Because it don't add up. And that's why you have to ask yourself, why is it so hard for people to do, say, something righteous or something godly? But it's so easy to do something nasty or animalistic. That's the biggest thing you want to do. Like, really, if you just think about it, like, if you were sitting next to me and I was going, oh, my ass, haha, my ass is in your face, you would probably beat the shit out of me. So how come other people can talk? Like, other people can talk about their ass all day and now it's sexy. So it just shows you where the mind is at. And when people can't see it, it's because they're so far from godliness that they can't see it no more. And unfortunately, you can go on locations that are supposed to be about God, and they have the same problem as people that are in the clubs and hanging out in the bars and stuff. It's almost the same gutter mentality. So that's how far they have become. So that's what, when you see 15 and you see 20, so you're already looking at some type of relationship issue They should have been more about togetherness, spirituality. Even your Juno, look at your Juno, 15 degrees. So that's why I said, I don't know where the person is. You probably would know where your other half is better than me. But the bottom line is, whether you know where they're at or not, you know you. And you know this information. And that's why I worked on myself. See, when my twin came, I tried to help her. And what I did for her, I gave her all the information she knew so that if she did ever wake up, she could have contacted me then. But she chose not to. And the main reason was because she wanted the same thing all these people want on YouTube. They want bubblegum astrology. Oh, just make me happy and fuck me. You know, don't worry about all that other stuff. Why don't they worry about that other stuff? Because that's what I would want to know. Oh, I'm going to be with you? Okay, well, how are we going to do this? Because I really want to know what type of person you are. I really want to know, is this going to last? Like, I want questions like that. I could give a fuck. I could give a fuck less about a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm not a fucking hoe. And maybe 20 years ago, maybe I was. I don't remember. You understand? Like, people grow up. And that's what happened with her, my twin. She jumped in bed with that guy, started having his kids and everything. And he was just playing her out. Wouldn't get her a ring or nothing. Like I said, from a earthly standing, she would have been like, she was unbelievably beautiful. She had everything. So from an earthly viewpoint, it's like, oh, it's a gold mine. You got this highly attractive woman staring at you like she's like, gotta have you. Like, yeah, this is what I want to do. But as you grow up and you've been there over and over again, and you see the same thing on this planet, no integrity. Just like it says, what is it? Second Timothy chapter 3. Talking about people in these times. No loyalty, no commitment, fake about everything. And that's what you get. Second Timothy chapter 3. It just goes down a list of the characteristics of people in these time periods. And they have no morals and stuff like that. And you can't stop your whole life to try to win somebody over. Because that's why I said that's the same thing as the Garden of Eden. You're putting the creation in the position of the creator. And this is what Paul warned about at Romans chapter 12 and Romans chapter 1. And ironically, he talked about the same thing I was just saying. The fascination with the ass. Because even he started talking about like stuff like homosexuality and stuff. Because that's what happens. The more you get away from the way that the creator designed this stuff to work, the more and more you get into sensuality and all that other crazy stuff. Because that lust takes over, and that stuff is linked up with wicked spirits being inhabited by or influenced by wicked spirits. And they're called lustful spirits, because that's what they do. And that's, if you notice, when you look at these people in the world, that's what they all do. And that's why they celebrate that type of behavior. So when you see these 15s, it's kind of telling you that this is the devil card. There's some type of fleshly, non-spiritual situation going on. And then when you look at number 20 degrees, that is judgment. Now it's time to pay for that conduct. And now remember, this is part 2. You should especially look at part 1, because I went over all that as well. But now, so the moment Saturn entered the South Node, I'll say that again. The moment Capricorn entered the South Node, now it became about past lives, old souls. And you really can see these people again. You might literally see them. They may show up in your dreams, or it's just the energy. Like, it's so much strange stuff that just goes on. Like, I'm trying to give you short versions, but I got to give you examples of what I'm talking about. Like today, I heard this strange, just now, like really less than an hour ago, like an hour and a half ago, I heard this strange music that I didn't know where it was coming from. So I go downstairs and I go to the front door, look out of it, and what do I see? But two women, one little girl, and one baby that are all, the same ethnic background as my twin flame. But this kind of stuff happens all the time. But that was weird, and I never found out where the music came from because I literally went outside to try to find out where's this music coming from, and I didn't hear it. But it just alerted me to go check it out, and then when I went to check it out, I saw them. Now they live up the street, across the street from my twin, but that's not her family. Her family lives directly across the street from her. These are some other people that's the same ethnic background as she is, but they probably are not family because I've never seen a connection. Those are the first time I've ever seen them people. Although I do see a guy walk up that way. Now, what's unique about it is this. I keep telling you that it's always somebody murdered associated with this twin flame stuff and these people. Now, the house they live in, there was a murder that took place in the house. Literally not that long ago. Now, the funny thing about it is this. About a week before the guy got murdered in that house, it was nighttime. It had just turned nighttime. And somebody knocked on our door because these are both corner houses. And so the person called upstairs for me to open the door because when she looked out the door, her intuition said, nah, she wasn't opening it. So I came down and I looked out, seeing them, and then I opened up the door. It was a little kid, probably about 12 years old, at our front door. And then there was another kid at the bottom of the steps. So I knew what that was. The kid at the bottom of the steps was a lookout. And his job was to come if there was any problems. They knew what they was doing. So I just looked at him. Like I opened up the door, I looked at him, made eye contact. I said, yo, what's up? So he was like, yo, they looking for so-and-so. And I like, don't nobody with that name live here. And he just looked at me and shook his head. Like he was a cool kid though. He looked at me as to say, don't worry about it. It ain't no problem. So he was cool. Now, what was good about that is this. See, a lot of people. Now that was like So a week later, he got killed. The dude they were looking for was dead within the week. So thank goodness that little kid was smart enough to ask, because a lot of times they don't ask. They just get an order. Go. He lives on a corner street. Take him out, and they go do it. It's that easy. So they just had the wrong corner. Like they had the right street, but they had the wrong corner house and shit. So, thank God that kid was willing to, believe me, and willing to, whatever. But that's what them people live now. So people that listen to me regularly, you'll hear me talk about murders, and they're always associated with this twin flame thing. Always. Also, earlier today, because our neighbors usually it's pretty quiet, but today is almost like a summer day. But anyway, a vehicle came and parked across the street from that window I always tell everybody about. Because somehow, some way, there's always some type of people or some type of message showing up in that window. So this was some type of carrier truck. But again, when the universe is trying to talk to you, or your higher self or your twin flame is trying to talk to you, they will come through your dreams sometimes. Sometimes they come through synchronicity, same thing, same names. You'll have telephone problems or something, or you'll keep seeing like postal trucks or carrier trucks and stuff. So anyway, this person that came and was parked across the street. So I was wondering why they were there and what were they doing, because they never got out the vehicle. So why are you parked there? And they were doing something in the truck, the van or whatever. Then all of a sudden I noticed a yellow umbrella. So, why is there a yellow umbrella opened up? And it was right in the location where everybody hangs out at, right across the street. And that area is the area that the female who looks like my twin used to always be in. So when I took a better look, I noticed it was two umbrellas, two yellow umbrellas. One was further up the street. But come on, this is a hot day, sun is shining. There's no need for umbrellas. There's no rain or nothing. And why would anybody just leave two umbrellas? But remember, now the female that looks like my twin, she has two twin dogs. So this stuff doesn't stop. And that's why I said if you're not careful, it can drive you crazy. And this is why these people on YouTube go crazy. Because it's so powerful. So they assume because it's so powerful, it has to mean something. And they assume because it's so powerful, I know this means I'm going to be with my twin. But they don't realize there's people out here waiting over 30 years to be with their twin. So I testify that it is very powerful. But that doesn't mean you stop your life waiting for it. Because I'm still going to tell you what I've always told you. If it's meant to be, nobody can stop it. But when you got all these reasons why y'all two ain't together, there's a reason for it. So now somebody might ask, well, what type of karma could a couple have? Well, my first thing, definitely need both your natal charts. This is another thing they do on YouTube. They think they can do this without the natal charts. See, these people are constantly telling the universe and telling God, we don't need you. We're going to do it our way. We're going to turn this into a love story. Oh, I want to be a singer. That's all I care about. Like one chart I did, the guy's soulmate was in his 8th house. He said, yeah, that's all I need you to talk about is the 8th house. I said, no, it's better if we go ahead and do the whole natal chart because it's going to tell you helpful information. He said, no, just do Leo in the 8th house with the vertex cross. That's all I need you to talk about. So he tried to control the reading. And I was trying to warn him, that's not how you do this. But he don't care. He's like most of these people out here. He could care less. So he rushed the whole situation. I repeatedly told him to slow down. He didn't do it. He rushed the whole situation. And then he found out the soulmate didn't want to be with him. So maybe if he had slowed it down and showed the little level of maturity, she would have been with him. But once she saw that, childish behavior and acting all silly, she didn't want to be with him. So this is all about finding out the right way to do things, and then bringing your life in accord with what you found out. And that's what the whole natal chart is for. And if you're really getting into it, you can get the angel cards out to help. But you want to do it the right way. Because bubblegum astrology, that's what I mean. You're not going to get the answers you need. Now, in a situation like this, if this was my chart on the left, my main concern would be how to grow as a man so that I'm not letting feminine emotions or my own resentment mess things up. Because here you can already see wow. And he even has 11, which I probably already said this. He's already got 11 degrees Palace in his Libra. So if you go to the Rider-Waite Tarot card deck number 11, that is your Justice card, which is Libra energy. So it might even be some type of legal situation with this person. And he has some fire sign stuff low. Even his Aries is 20 degrees. More yeah, so that grand trine is really going to affect him. So here's the deal. Let me tell you how this is going down. Because like I said, I like when people ask the questions he asked. But now I gotta get real about this. Now, because he's got all this fire sign stuff going on, you should make sure you find out about the Grand Trine. You can read it up on yourself. You can get me to do it, however you want to do it. But let me just tell you, because he wrote me a letter, he explained, which I'm glad because he really wants to know. See, that's where I'm at. I don't give a fuck about no matrix. I don't give a fuck about all these religions. I don't give a fuck about none of this shit, because if it's fake, if it's lying to me, and it's going to send me to hell or put me on some bad karma in my next life, I don't need it. See, this is why they want to talk about group, because they want to control you. They're like when you take crabs, you all put them in a bucket. And the crabs are trained so that if one crab is about to climb up and get away, they pull his ass back down. And instead of the crab saying, hey, listen, you stand up on you, you stand up on you, you stand up on you. Whatever. All right? We're going to try to get out of here. Now, say it's 7 of us in the barrel, but we all going to stand on top of each other and climb the heck out of here. And then when we get out, we're going to try to push this barrel over so the other one can get out. Let's go for it. They don't think like that. They think just like the people do on this planet. Oh, you ain't going to get ahead of me. So don't nobody get out. Then they all become somebody's lunch or dinner. But imagine what they would have become if they were smart enough to work together and give it a shot. So that's how we are here, the so-called democracy. You're in this matrix, and as she called it a quarantine. Mechalesi called it a quarantine. And nobody, if you're saying anything that's not part of the lie, they say you're crazy. And now I believe a lot of people are waking up and they kind of know that this junk is a lie, but they still give it their devotion anyway. So I don't care about none of that. I need to know what's going on. So for me, I'm going to be listening to this information, taking notes. Now, if he does know who this female is, that's good. And plus, what you want to know is where you two stand at this particular moment. You know? All right. So that's what I want to know. But still, you got pretty much an idea. And what you always do is Aries, Capricorn. And then in the 7th house, you have Cancer, which is family, but it's like family and relationship. But that also could be Imon Coeli, which is mother. And even your Taurus in the 5th house, this is somebody that loves massages, but like they're gonna have trouble gambling because they tend to not know when to stop and lose it. But your vertex cross is 13 degrees, which is the death or Scorpio energy. And that was also your EP. Oh yeah, but that all right. So I know Taurus in the 5th house can be highly sensual. And 13 is a death card or Scorpio energy. And even your Scorpio's in the 11th house. Because when you get Scorpio in the 11th house, you got Venus there too. So that could be highly sexual too, but it's some type of connection with friends, association, and groups. And you get the moon there again because your Mercury is at 18 degrees. All right. So so like it might be Taurus energy you're dealing with, which could be your vertex, that cross in your 5th house could either be a soulmate, a twin soul, but whoever this is, you gonna have some type of sexual stuff with them. But it's like a form of death, like but that could be a good thing. So you gotta remember this is the 5th house of pleasure. So 13 degrees in the 5th house may be sexual. See, it's kind of like when you had sex with somebody, you be like, damn, like I never had sex like that before. Damn, it's like a death. You understand? Because listen to what you're saying. I've never had sex like that before. So it's like killing all that weak shit you had because you're dealing with sexual rebirth. When you see Venus and Mercury and Taurus at 13 degrees, because 13 degrees is a death card. All right. Cause I know that Kenyan I was with, she definitely transformed me. That was like definitely sexual transformation. And plus that was like 95 to 98. And also earlier in 95, I think it was, there's another female. She is real dark skinned too. And that's like sexual transformation too. Cause like all this stuff is like supernatural. Like even stuff with women, a lot of that stuff is supernatural. And people don't understand that a lot of times when a female is trying to find a way in, her wanting it to happen causes supernatural shit to take place. to make it happen. And also, like I said, it's a more woman out here. I think her name is A Marie out here on YouTube. Give me a moment. I'm just checking everything out. All right, just give me a second. Just give me a second. I was trying to. Okay. All right. So the first thing I want to do, I want to make sure it's something. I did something. Come on, come on, come on. It's funny because this female sending me stuff, and she's fucking up, and I'm sending shit back to her, but I'm fucking up at the same time. And it's funny because some of this shit out, like we both doing it at the same time. It's just funny because we're looking at it, and we kind of can tell it's not right, but it's just fucked up. I don't know if that shit's fatigue or just something in the universe. All right. Give me a moment, just trying to get the mind right. It's just one of them days, bro. I'm gonna put this on pause. I'll be back. All right. So, like I said, it's a strange world, but depending on who you are, that's why I said people got to realize, like, when, like a dude like me, I'm called, so my life would never be like the same as like just somebody who's not called. Like when you study your Bible, if you just study Anybody God called, their life was way more turmoil and way more just shit going on. That's why I said it's important to read scriptures, not from a analytical trying to disprove it, but try to connect to the spirit that's with them scriptures, because it's power. And if you can't do it, then connect to somebody who do. But don't be foolish. See, on this planet we got too many people that are on foolish energy. And I say it again, people get upset with me, but out here on YouTube, like they don't want to listen, don't want to learn. And if you ain't talking about what they want to hear, they'll immediately click to somebody who is. Even if that person is just blowing smoke up their ass and taking money. It's one dude out here that story tell. That's all he do. A person who had been with me for a while stopped listening to me and went to this guy. And all he did was sit up there and tell stories. Like, oh, you know, in just a few more years, we gonna own all the banks. But he ain't giving no proof. He's not giving no references and nothing. He just we gonna own all the banks and the nation's gonna have to come to us to blah 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 blah. And we're gonna but how is that gonna happen? Because I can sit here all day long and tell stories. But you do. Like you'll see some of the you'll see like people out here just not doing nothing. And they'll still have like unbelievable high views. So it just shows you how dumbed down people are. And see, I don't have a problem with people, you know, people got a right to their opinion. I don't have a problem with that. But just don't be upset when those actions lead to you being judged or something. Because when that happens, the same people are going to be going, oh, you know, save me, oh, have mercy. And then it's going to be too late, because it ain't going to be no mercy for you. Because you had all this time now to do what you needed to do, and you chose not to. You chose to stay in the mentality of a child. You didn't want to be an adult. You wanted to be a child. You wanted your way or no way. And now it's time for karma or judgment. All right, once you can give me a moment. All right, so with death and rebirth. So like I said, I learned, like I said, I was doing a lot of stuff like that. The first person before the Kenyan, you know, I kind of ended that real quick for different reasons. But it's still experience definitely was transforming. And then the Kenyan, I was with her for like 3 years. So in all those cases, I was just learning more about like what are you really looking for? What do you really want? And you just have to be at a certain like on his chart, when you see like Scorpio, you just gotta look around. So even in his 11th house, that's Pluto and Scorpio. See, that's like great transformation and stuff, but it's also connected with people and stuff like that. And Venus rules Taurus as well. But in my case, it was maybe just too much of a level of immaturity. Like, you know, like I just say the Kenyan. You know, she is a great friend. That's one thing that made we were friends, but we also was lovers and stuff. But but it just wasn't. It's like if you a dude, you don't have no female with you, and she's trying to be with you, and you just keep on saying shit to put her down and shit. like that's gonna leave a bad taste in the mouth at some point, and that's how you get cheated on because you keep putting them down, especially a female because they don't want you putting them down. So that's what I mean by that. It was just like immaturity in that regard, and at the same time, if I had been more stable within myself, I probably could have handled that differently because I was still kind of really immature myself. So, like I said, it's a lot of stuff you learn. But one thing I learned from all that was just slow that down. Because, like I said, the first thing people gonna want to do is jump in bed. That's the first thing. And I've learned now to kind of like slow that down. Like for me, that's all icing on the cake. That's like the dessert portion of the cake. That's not why I'm doing it. Like that's only gonna be something that after I realize this is somebody who I think I got some type of connection with, not just emotions or sex. But like I said, we already know that goes in the window and out the window. And if you heard what I said in part one, that it does matter because, like I said, if God deems it fornication, you could be on your way to hell. And if you don't believe that, you still got to deal with karma. Now, somebody said, well, "What's my karmic assignment?" You just have to be familiar with where your Saturn is. See how his Saturn and his Juno is in the same house? Because I was going to say Juno anyway, but I said Saturn first. They're in the same house. So right away, that's one area of your karmic assignment is your 12th house, not the. And the 12th house is about service to a certain degree, but it's also about bringing out the things that are in your closet. And see, Uranus causes transformation. Well, Uranus wakes up your consciousness. Like if you weren't aware of something, Uranus will wake you up to it, shock you, wake you up, and then Pluto transforms. And all this stuff is about astrology energy. So you may not see anything and feel it, but it's still going on astrologically. All right. So we'll get big like the left chart. I don't want to do the left chart just yet because I want to see what the right chart is saying, and then go back to the left chart. So the right chart is from 1 p.m. today, and at that time, the true north node of what a person should be working on in this life is family in the 12th house with endings. All right. So so the universe right now is looking at like 18 degrees is the moon card. So, you know, in Cancer. So that's Imon Coil. That could be the mom. And anywhere where the moon is on your chart. And then 22 degrees Cancer. So where your Cancer is and where your moon is, especially. So your 7th house and your 6th house. So really your 6th house about service, 12th house is about service. 6th house is about service that you do for your home or your country, or if you got a job or something. 12th house is like usually the service you do for like a church or something. All right. Yeah. So they're looking at the Cancer, but on your chart, your Cancer is really connected to the moon. Is really connected to that Taurus, which is going to be your soulmate or twin soul. And remember, Taurus can be very sensual, especially in the 5th house. And that's why it's a form of death. Because you're not, when you come up from that situation, you don't view things like you used to. But the death card, Scorpio energy, is usually when you come up better than when you were down. All right. So your relationship is definitely about service. And that's a karmic assignment. You say, well, okay, what type of service? Relationship, family, possibly education. All right. Now we just did Saturn conjunct Pluto. And it's kind of like a tough time maybe when a person was young. But even when they went through a tough time, it made them more ready to deal with adversity or diffuse. All right, so now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, and they still looking at service, you know, and you got judgment there. And you look at the Saturn. Saturn has 20, which is judgment, but 13, which is the death card. All right. So there's some type of concerns in the universe about Capricornian service. And it almost looks like Capricorn with Saturn and Pluto. All right. So the universe is going to make, with Capricorn in the 7th house with Pluto conjunct Saturn, the universe is going to cause a more sterner outlook concerning relationships. So now, having said that, remember Capricorn could be career too. But either way, whatever's going on with him, it's going to be hard because Pluto conjunct Saturn means hard, but it will change you though. It'll make you more. Because like I said, once I got done with the Kenyan, I knew I didn't want nothing like that ever again. Because here you are in a relationship with somebody, and you're trying to make it work, and you're giving this person your all, and they still fucking you over and bullshitting you, and then they got to know to be disrespecting you. So that's when I kind of left the whole dating stuff alone. Because up until that point, I used to love to date and love the blind date, and well, I used to love that shit. But then after all that, it's just like, why am I doing this? And if I ever did it now, believe me, I still know you got to be, you got to try to come across as being fun and sociable or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm really worrying about where is this going, Like I'm not just trying to be with somebody just to be with somebody. Like I don't do shit like that no more. Like to me that's almost like a waste of time. Almost. So that's the that's the 6th house of service. and they're going to make it really hard, but it's also going to affect wherever Capricorn in, when that would be a 10th house. But right now we're looking at the right chart. So again, that goes to Taurus energy, but Uranus is there. And anything could happen with the finances as well. Now you got Uranus, like your 11th house. Alright, so like I said, and then when you got Venus, retrograde, and Scorpio, it's reflecting on past love lives, and you might even question your present love life. And notice how your Jupiter is 13 degrees. See, that's the death again, Scorpio energy. And really, Jupiter used to be Venus's master, ruler. All right. Even with Pluto at 6 degrees on his chart to the left, see, 6 degrees is a lover's card, like I said, but it's doubt. It's doubt. So what I'm saying, his twin flame, his twin soul, they put each other through a period of basically yeah. See, even his Saturn is at 6 degrees. So they put each other through a period of doubting each other, whatever. But somehow the universe used that for some form of transformation. Because the moon, which is 18 degrees, that can also be a deceiver sometime. It just seems to me like they were very see see, 5 is like, Taurus is like I want to pull it up because I got all their models. Let me just give me a moment. Taurus's motto is I have. Scorpio's motto is I desire. So again, Taurus in the 5th house is highly sensual, likes massages, will blow money, loves to gamble. And that's 13 degrees to that. See, that's death again. But it's also Scorpio energy. And then the 11th house is always opposite, usually opposite the 5th house. All right. So over here, Scorpio opposite Taurus, and the 11th house is I desire. See, like I said, so what was the problem? It just seemed like they just had a doubt. And like when I see that, I say, well, look at Juno. Is Juno retrograde? No. But look what Juno is. 15 degrees, which is what? The devil card. If you've ever seen the devil card, he's just sitting there manipulating both of them. And then when you see Libra, medium Coeli, which is also part of your true north node, is 15 degrees again. And then when you go to your true north node, 20 degrees, which is a judgment card, a Pluto energy, or Scorpio energy. And that's aggression again. And then you got Vesta retrograde at 6 degrees. Which again is that could be the doubt again with 6 degrees. So that's how I get it for his chart on the left. It was just like really appeared to be doubt, but it was embedded, from that 15, from that devil card. And then Capricorn, that's the energy of the devil card is Capricorn. All right, so now what we're going to do a quick review on these two charts, especially the chart on the left. True North Node looks like a horseshoe, 20 degrees. Notice I even Vesta, 6 degrees. And Vesta is also like fire. It's the heath, it's the fire, it's the priestess usually. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. See, what I just did, it was a person who responded to the email. Cause like I said, I got hit with a large, whatever. For me, it was large. Friday, and then I just did what I know to do, just give it to God. Then I made that phone call this morning, and everything got wiped out. So the person was happy about that. One of the people I asked to pray asked me about it. It was asking me what my name was to continually pray for, so I gave him that. Also, I know I was mentioning Bobby Hemmett. Ironically, the video I found is actually 19 years old today. The video was from April 8th, 2000, and it's April 10th, 2019. So when I see stuff like that, I know it's not a coincidence. All right. So now we're going to do Vesta Retrograde. I'm going to do a couple of things. Because see, people ask me questions. This is what I try to answer everybody. And like, what I'm saying is I'm sorry people don't listen. But I know what I've been through. So when I'm a technical person, very technical when it comes to scriptures. But I see God every day. So the way I see things is not gonna be what the average person will do, because the average person gonna see what other people think. How does this respond to other people? How is this gonna benefit me and my family, or me and my agenda? But I don't see it that way. I just see, what does God say? Like, I'm like a really old school, like whatever you want to call it, Bible follower, Christian, whatever you want to call it. But I'm more like that. But I've seen it over the ages. Like there's just a price to pay when you don't go the full distance with God. It's gonna be a price to pay. And I believe all this other stuff you're looking at, whether it's different dimensions, different lives, different beliefs, they still answer to God, whether they even believe them or not. Like, it's a lot of atheists on our planet. They may be atheists, but they still answer to God, even if they believe him or not. So it's never a moment God's not in control. And then people say, well, how far do you want to take that? All I can tell you is, if you do what I said, when you walk in spirit and you make that personal connection, then you'll know. Because nobody can explain that to you. That's what John chapter 3 was about. Nicodemus was a Pharisee. He knew all the holy writings. He knew everything about God, from their holy writings to their traditions to all that. He was the man. When Messiah came, Messiah did what a Messiah would do. You understand? You can't expect if you met God, you can't tell God, well, why are you doing that? That's against your word. So the response Messiah gave to Nicodemus was, I'm like the wind. I go wherever I want to. You can't tell the wind, hey, don't blow over here. The wind will blow where it wants to. So he's basically telling, and another time he said, how you going to tell me to celebrate the Sabbath when I'm the Lord of the Sabbath? You can't tell the Lord of the Sabbath how to celebrate the Sabbath. So it's a measure of humility you got to have. And a lot of that's common sense. And then you have some people that try to bicker all day, just like people who try to find fault with the Bible. But they're not understanding it's a spiritual book. He didn't write the book so that he would go, oh, I'm going to write the book so they can't find anything wrong with it. That's how they'll know it's from me. He wrote the book so people like me and others who actually walk in the spirit can understand the book. So you have to break out the matrix. And just recently I said, this is a true story. This is 3 ABN pastors. They had a plane to catch at the airport and they was running late. So by the time they got to the airport, everybody was on that jet. And that jet was starting to go around, if you ever flew a plane, how to go on a run, whatever. The airport, the runway. Not necessarily the runway, but it'll fly, it'll just keep going around sometimes. Because the first time I ever flew a jet, that's what the dude did. He kept flying around where the jets was. Like before he ever went on, Before he ever went on a runaway, he kept flying that plane, like riding that plane back and forth. Why? I'm not a pilot. I've never really flown. That's the only time I've ever flown. So I don't know why he did it. But they just be out there like going around for a while before they begin to go off the runway and then finally take off. So those dudes got there late. These two pastors, 3 ABM pastors. And they went up to the counter and said to the female, we're here for the plane, the jet. She said, well, sorry, but that jet's about to leave. Everybody's on that jet. And the pilots, they about to leave. And so them preachers said, well, could you call a pilot and tell them that we're here? And she thought they was nuts. She said, I can't tell a pilot he's ready to leave. He's not gonna wait for you. You were late. He said, well, give it a try. You never know. Give it a try. So I guess because of the way they said it and the way they looked, because they had on suits and stuff, she didn't know who they were. And I guess she didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want to get in trouble with them, or they might report her. So she figured all I got to do is, to cover myself is make this phone call. Of course the pilot's going to say no. So they said when she was making a phone call, they walked over to the window because you could see the jet. And you could see the pilot was in the jet. And they say he was turning that plane and stuff, turning that jet around. And they say they actually looked at him. And he looked at them standing there because they were inside the airport. So he looked at them. And he got the phone, whatever they did, dispatch or whatever you want to call it. But there's 2 men here running late, boom, boom, boom. They say they have to get on that plane because it's an important meeting or whatever. And they want to be there on time. And they're pastors or some crap, whatever she said. No, he actually stopped it. He actually stopped the whole formality and waited for them to go out there. And you got to open the jet back up, the door. You got to put that long ladder back up to it. And they actually waited. And I've been doing this for a long time, so I know shit too. Now, personally, I'm going through so much. I got health problems. I got all kind of stuff I'm going through. But again, that's another thing. People say, oh, well, why do you have health problems? The same reason why Apostle Paul had health problems. Like, Apostle Paul could heal other people, but he couldn't heal himself. Now, Messiah, when he went to the cross, that's what they kept saying. Oh, you healed everybody else? Why can't you heal yourself? So, whatever purpose you got, that's what it is, and you'll understand it. Because there comes a time when you really grow with God that you're going to cut off with some human talking about. And you're going to do it. And ain't no psychopath, it ain't no crazy shit. But you just know. And like Joseph's own family didn't believe him. His brothers tried to kill him. But he still, with everything he said came true. He said, God told me I got a special relationship with the sun, the moon, and the stars. And they said, look at this nut job. God told me that our family is going to be a great nation, but I'm going to be the head of it. And his father was like, oh, what, you think you better than me? I'm Jacob. I'm Israel. I talk to God personally. How dare you think God's going to come over my head and talk to you? So his father got pissed off. Then his brothers wanted to beat us, but we'll never bow down to you. But sure enough, whatever it took, 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever it took, they bowed down to him. He was the second in command of the whole world. Now, say, well, that shit it's not real. You're talking about stuff that's storybooks. Whether it's real or not, I don't care. I still see it in life. Now, lately on YouTube, I was watching a lot of videos on shamans, these priests. Funny, in this video with Bobby Hemmett that I was telling you all about, that's how he opened up the video. He started drinking alcohol and spitting it out. And that's what shamans do. Spitting it out all over the place. Because people go to these places, go to these shamans to get healing. And they do, a lot of them will drink alcohol and whatever, drink soda and spit it all on the people. So my point is a lot of stuff people don't know. But when you really walk with God, you know. It's that simple. You're not going to tell a shaman he don't know what he's talking about. Especially when he's healing people and he's whatever he says he's doing. If he's an authentic shaman, he's doing just because you can't see it or you can't feel it doesn't mean it ain't real. And when you see him healing all these people and stuff like that, then you know. And I've been in a lot of I've been in so many near-death experiences that people had to say God had to have been with you, because if that had been anybody else, you'd be dead. If you knew how many times I heard that in my lifetime, if that had been anybody else, you'd be dead. So that's why you know these things, and you continue to do what you do, and sometimes you do, and hopefully you do. You meet people who understand what I'm saying, because there is no easy way. I remember a dude asked me that, and I had to tell him quick, it ain't no easy way. Because that's the problem with the modern generation. They want the quick way, the fast way, the easy way. It's not always going to be an easy way. Sometimes you have to go through sacrifice, pain, loss. But that's who makes you who you are. And now Rich Loop said that it's different dimensions and stuff. And he basically was alluding to the fact that maybe somebody will say, well, you know what? I love the physical world. I love women. So they kind of don't advance to the spiritual aspect. So possibly they go into a different dimension since they weren't ready to go higher. But I would still say, why not just the Bible, but why do a lot of these places talk so much about hell if it's not real? Why didn't they just say you won't ascend to the thing? And then some people say, they just use hell as a deterrent. Because if they don't use hell as a deterrent, people would become more and more animalistic. But then, like I said, all that other stuff I said in part 1, which talks about hell karma, testimonies, certain parts of the earth where you hear all this noise coming from under the ground. Why is it so hot in certain aspects and nobody can explain it? That's the stuff, again, I say you should be studying. So what do we want to look at right now is Vesta retrograde. This is Twin Astrology, and she's on YouTube as well. Twin Astrology. She said a Vesta retrograde is important for twin flames and divine partnerships. Why? Because Vesta is helping you anchor the fifth dimensional energies. And Vesta, she's talking about Vesta retrograde though. Vesta retrograde helps you anchor the fifth dimensional energies. It helps you to balance the masculine and feminine and to purify and heal you, especially to issues related to sexuality and the sexual energies. And then I'll look at my notes on Vesta retrograde. All right, now give me a moment. I'm opening this up. So when you see a retrograde Vesta or Vesta retrograde, it's also dealing with how you serve others. And I had said that earlier. If you remember, I kept saying serve, serve. Also, it deals with your belief. So we're going back to your belief again. So that's why I feel like I'm glad you asked the question you did, which is why I'm going like a lot to do about that. The bottom line is your power will be in your belief system. And like I said, what I did, I was so tired when I got to, because like the devil's never going to stop. This negative energy, whatever you want to call it, it's never going to stop fucking with you. So I'm at my just tired. And last thing you want to hear is you all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you owe all this money when I don't even know if that's true. It could have been a mistake, but you have to understand nothing like that has happened in no recent times. And I've really been very meticulous about accountability. So really, you're just going by what somebody's telling you. You would have to pull all that up and research it yourself. And I'm too tired to take on any more whatever. So that's why I said the belief system was to know what I do. Give it to God, ask people to pray, and keep it moving. And it's to just deal with it the next day and just hope for the best. So that's the belief system. But that's why some of the best boxers in the world, when they are taking that ass whipping, they're still relying on what made them a champion. They still know how to block. They still know how to they know how to use their body to confuse their opponent. And you'll see that. I just watched the match recently where the younger guy was really outboxing the older guy. He actually knocked him down twice, but the older guy was tough. So he got back up. But the younger guy really was outboxing him. But as the boxing match went on, the younger guy began to get more tired. So what the younger guy was trying to do was psych the older guy out. Plus the younger guy was getting more and more cocky because it's getting closer and closer to the final round and you haven't knocked me out this far. You're probably not going to knock me out, and I'm sure I got you beat on points. Your face is messed up. My face ain't messed up. And I've knocked you down twice. So I don't see how you're going to win this match. So God be my witness. I think it was literally the last 14 seconds of the final round. The last 14 seconds of the final round, the guy was just showboating. The younger guy was showboating. And I think he came in. But when he came in, either he didn't have his guard all the way up or whatever. But that other guy, the veteran, as soon as that younger guy kind of tried to come in just to play, because he was playing games with him, like bouncing around and putting his hands down and doing all stupid stuff. So then when he tried to come back in, I guess he didn't have his guard all the way up, and that guy clocked him right in the jaw. Clocked him. That was the first time that young kid ever went down in all 12 rounds. This is 14 seconds and the round would have been over. That young kid went down, laid out flat, and didn't try to get up at all, which made me laugh. Because each time he put that other guy down, that guy got back up. And that's the difference that I be trying to tell y'all. You're taking the easy way out. That's the silly way out. I learned that a long time ago. If God or life is taking you through a process, go through the freaking process. And that was the difference between a real veteran, seasoned boxer that knows how to take a blow and get back up and keep fighting, and a dude like him. Soon as the going got tough, his ass was out. He lost his belt and everything. All he had to do was hang in there for 14 more seconds. Had he got back up and been like really knocked out, but he's up 14 seconds, he still would have walked away with his belt. Because usually in men's boxing, they don't let you take the belt off the champ unless you knock him out, unless you win. Usually, unless they don't like you. So it's a good chance that kid, if he could have just got back to his feet, even if he was like TKO, but he got back to his feet before the 10 count, he could have kept his belt, walked out of there with that belt. But instead, as soon as the going got tough, he laid flat out. He didn't even really try to get up. He just laid flat out with just that one hit. Now, he made it all the way to the 12th, but all that showboating and all that silly stuff. So that's the difference between somebody who is experienced in this walk and somebody that's not. So Vesta retrograde, once again, is questioning your belief system, your service. So Vesta retrograde wants to know whether your service is selfless, pleasure, martyrdom. Because remember, that 12th house is all about serving so much that you actually hurt yourself. That's martyrdom. So Vesta, they're trying to tell you that Vesta retrograde is like the 12th house. Or if you're serving out an obligation or genuine responsibility. So they say Vesta retrograde in Aries, like yours is. This is going to tap into your subconscious mind and your hidden motivations on how and when you serve others. And you have to learn the difference between healthy, selfishness, or fear-based selfishness. So they're kind of saying that sometimes selfishness is not a bad thing. Some of it is healthy or fear. Not either meant selfishness or selflessness. But it's also a karmic event to heal old wounds. Now, Vesta retrograde could mean communication problems, emails going astray, verbal misunderstandings, travel delays, frustrations. And they say it again, Vesta retrograde can do with communications and technology. I know for a fact Vesta is connected to your heating system, any areas of power, electrical or whatever power. But Vesta can also deal with isolation, like your chimney. Inside that chimney would be Vesta. Inside an elevator is Vesta. Or if you were to get incarcerated, that's Vesta. And it's funny, they said Vesta can also deal with missed flights, technical bugs in communication, mechanical issues, or even if your cell phone stops working or whatever. So they say when you have a Vesta retrograde, the first thing you can do is start to pause and figure out what's going on. Like, say you got a communication problem. Well, don't keep having a communication problem. That I remember me saying that to my twin flame. I don't want to argue with you, you know. And I'm pretty sure she was Aries energy as well. Very aggressive, very ready to duke it out for the smallest infraction. So sometimes you got to slow down, pay attention, not afraid to tell a person, let's work any way we can talk about it, any way we can work this out, or at least talk about it. So you want to try to diffuse the situation the best you can. So they said the same thing I do. They say if you do have any of these problems, don't run out and buy something new. They said take the extra care to protect your problems. And again, you still got to use a soundness of mind, because nowadays some of this stuff is just easier to buy something new. Cause like say you can buy an item for $49 or $50, right? The whole item, everything you need, all the parts and everything, $50. Let's say in a little bit of time it goes bad. You may not want to put all the money into it to repair it, because the repair ain't worth it. Somebody might say, okay, it's going to cost us $300 to fix your $50 product. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, nowadays, like some of your parts inside of it, the item may cost $50, but the parts to put inside of it, once those parts wear out or run out or whatever, might be $75 or $80. Say, wait a minute, this only cost me $50. Why am I going to spend $80 for that? So with that same amount of money or less, you might find something less expensive that's going to be ready to work as soon as you buy it. Or there might be some type of offer or plan they're offering you that makes it worth your while. So yeah, so you would think like that. You always want to make sure you're using a wise mind. But the point they're trying to make is a point I just made too. Just because something starts to go a certain way, you don't have to tap out. And see, that's what, like I said, that's what my twin was. She was like that. She wants to duke it out. She wants to get revenge, but she never wants to talk. Me and her never had a real conversation. But did she put me through a lot of hell? Yeah. Did she hurt me? Very much so. Did she come with all the drama and everything? Yes, she did. But just imagine what could have happened if she used that same energy to say, let's talk. And that's why things got as bad as they got. And that's why after she messed up like she did, there came a time when she regretted it. And that's why if you ever hear me do readings on usually this channel, because I got 2 channels, but the swords always come out. Like at the tarot card, it's always swords. Because that's mental. And those swords always represented her, especially the cards that said she couldn't get to sleep. She had trouble sleeping. She was having nightmares and everything, because that stuff she put herself through. Like somebody like me, and I have a long list of people that make that mistake. You're dealing with somebody that really walks with God. So that's not somebody you want to F with. Like some stuff happened on me even yesterday. Took me a minute to figure it out. But it had to do, I put it really quick, because I'll probably talk about this sometime on my other channel within the next 2 days. But my neighbors tried to pick a fight with me. And that ended up, to me, seeing a strange light outside at night. And I'm like, where is this light coming from? And I come outside to see the light. And then it just supernaturally disappears. From that time on, my neighbors are having all kind of trouble with their house, inside their house. So much that the female that lives there was shook. And she came running up to me trying to figure out, did I know anything? And I wonder why she's talking to me, because we don't even talk like that. But that was the start of them having problems with their house. And then yesterday some strange shit happened. But I noticed lately when I be getting up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, they got all the lights on in the house and stuff, just like they used to. So people shouldn't pick fights with other people. This is what I'm saying. You don't know who you're fucking with. You don't know who they're connected to. So the last thing you want to do is start a fight with somebody who's not fighting with you. I mean, I know that's what they do over here in America, and you have a lot of people, hate to say it, but a lot of women are drama queens. But you're picking fights with somebody you need to just leave alone because you don't know what type of spirits that person got with them. And it's not like I'm sitting here making potions. It's family. You fuck with somebody's family, you're going to see them. Earlier in the video, either part 1 or part 2, I said that. What I say, the hard knockers or something? See, that's somebody, you mess with us, we going to get you. That's why you leave people alone. Work on yourself. So they're saying instead of running away from this, learn how to deal with it. Learn how to make sure you stay on top of your supplies, your electronics. Learn how to make sure you don't allow anybody to pull you into a communication battle or communication misunderstanding. And see, I can attest for that, but I can tell you Vesta, the energy of Vesta introduced itself to me on a Sunday. I was studying asteroids, and that's when I was told asteroids are feminine. The majority of asteroids are feminine. I never knew that. And at the same time, Vesta was introducing herself to me. Vesta is particularly Virgo type energy. We started having trouble with our heating system. And so the person here was freaking out because they know that could be very expensive. But I was learning that Vesta is connected to the furnace of the heating system. So I knew what it was. But I couldn't tell that person that because the person would have thought I was crazy or they would have thought I had something to do with it. So I just played the game and acted like I was checking things out and said, oh, no, I think everything's okay. And they're like, oh, it's a Sunday. If they come, they're going to charge us just to come. They're going to charge us a lot of money for an emergency. I said, no, I think we'll be okay till Monday. So the person who came to check everything out on Monday was my deceased sister's favorite boyfriend from when we were teenagers. Now, my deceased sister is also a Virgo. So this stuff is real. But that's why you don't disrespect it. And this is why you don't use it like bubblegum astrology. You don't use this just for your selfish reasons because you got to pay that back. You use it, again, for why am I here? What is my purpose? And this is why you see a Mechalesi, for whatever reason, connect with, I think he pronounces the name called like Sirius, whatever, however he pronounces the name, Cyrus, or however he pronounces it. But they were able to get past all the silly stuff that people go through. The playing hard to get, just the silly stuff. Because that's how it should be. If we actually have a divine purpose together, let's get with it. Instead of, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't feel correctly. Oh, I don't know. So that's what they're saying with Vesta Retrograde. Don't sit there and play the game. Get to the divine purpose. And most people don't do that because they want to feel a certain way. And again, I was already more spiritually mature because keep in mind, I'd already been with spirituality for well over 30 years before I ever met my twin. So I was already ready for a lot of stuff. Because to me, I've been doing this a long time. So in some ways, a twin flame ain't no different than some other female or whatever. And like for me, like I said, spirituality came first because I learned that. And I learned, like, it's just a fact that females or whoever, they come and go. So why am I going to mess up my relationship with God for something that ain't even going to stay anyway? So that's how I view the whole thing. But the more, I didn't even know what twin flames was. Like when it first comes, just like Rich Loop said, it takes you, you're not ready for that. You don't know what a twin flame is. You don't know what a soulmate is. Like back then, if I heard something about soulmate, I thought you were talking about Soul Train with Don Cornelius. Like a 1970s movie or something. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So the moment I started to realize who she was and what it was about, I did reach out numerous occasions, but she was more into mind games and just doing stupid shit. But again, there's a reason for everything. So even though it hurt, there's still a reason for everything. Okay. So now going back to your chart. First, second, third. First, second, third, fourth. So that's in your fourth house, which is the house of really family, teenage to adult education, land and property, real estate, health, the heart, vehicle, and travel. You got aggressiveness, Aries there. And it's never good really to have Aries in the family, especially when dealing with children, because it could imply abuse. Now, Vesta usually helps out with the family or with Virgo energy or the home or the sixth house. But again, with that 6 degrees, that's the lover card, which means it could be a communication problem. And when you look at Venus, that's the lover. But then you got your 18 degrees, which is still the moon. And the moon is a little bit like the lover's card, Gemini energy, because they tend to doubt. Or they tend to see things from a foggy viewpoint. So it definitely was communication, foggy. And even your Pluto, which is transformation and change, at 6 degrees again. So it's almost like y'all had a karmic situation going on where you're going to doubt. So, whatever it was. Even if the sex was good, it was still a doubt that came with it. And that could kind of mess a person up psychologically, emotionally. Because the whole idea is to have sex and to be together, but everywhere where you see love, it's coming with something that implies doubt or sex or satanic manipulation. Like your medium Coeli is also part of your true north node. Satanic, number 15, satanic manipulation. Opposite each other. And then that aggression of Aries ain't going to help it. Because when you go back to your first house, that's Aries. And again, you see it again, 20 degrees and 13. So 13 being the death card, Scorpio. 20 degrees being Pluto, the judgment card. And just for the record, the judgment card can mean endings or time to transform. Time to transform. Judgment, rebirth, inner calling, but it could also mean absolution. But that means if you've met your karmic debt or if you've met whatever you're supposed to mean, then you will be absolved or like forgiven. So again, the Judgment card or 20 degrees is encouraging you to raise up and face a higher level. The same thing they said about Vesta retrograde. Instead of tapping out and running away, how about toughening up and dealing with it? Instead of saying, oh, I hate that guy on the spiritual channel or the other channel because he's too forward, he's too direct, I'm going to go over here to the Happy Pappy channel and listen to some bubblegum astrology, and then I'm going to feel great about life. You can feel good all you want, but that's not what's going to judge you. What's going to judge you is what I'm trying to tell you. This is the stuff you need to be getting ready for. You cannot go in a boxing ring and tell your trainer, hey, listen, yeah, I want to get in the ring and box, but hey, listen, just tell the other guy not to hit me that hard, okay? Okay, I'm not here for real boxing. I'm just here to experience it. I'm just here to experience it. So I'll get in the ring with this guy, but make sure he understands. Don't throw no. If you could knock me out, don't do it, and definitely don't hit me hard, okay? I'm not ready for all that. The whole time you're on this planet, you hear people telling you life is not fair. Boom, 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 boom. So you have to be ready. Same thing. If you're a kid, you don't want a mother or father that's going to run the hell out of a relationship. You want a mother, father that's going to be there for you in the family. This is how these people have failed their children for over 40 or 50 years. Because I was there when it first happened, when everything went to hell. So now you got all these excuses of why daddy's not home or mom ain't home, or all these excuses of why it's two guys in the bed and that's mom and dad and all the crazy stuff that's going on now. And we're not supposed to talk about it. But unfortunately, the universe is letting you know, if you don't talk about it, I'm coming to judge. Because you can't violate what was put down. This is why when you read the Messiah, they said the same thing to him. Hey, listen, Moses told us if we're tired of our wives, we can get rid of them. And then Jesus said, Moses might have told you that, but God never did. And he restored it to where it's supposed to be. And ironically, when the final, what the Hopi Indians are talking about, when the final purification comes, it's going back to the way it was supposed to be. And all these people that think they're so tough and so strong and they could bully their way to what they ain't going to be here. It's going to be Sodom all over again. Genesis 19 fulfilled all over again. So that's why you're walking in, if you're waking up, you're walking in what it's supposed to be. I'm not the bad guy. I'm merely repeating what's already there. And that will be the finality. And anybody opposing that finality won't be here no more. And most likely they will be burning in hell for eternity. So that judgment card is saying, okay, time to raise up from anything that's keeping you away from ascending to higher consciousness, ascending to higher love, higher whatever. And that's what she said. That's the rest. Retrograde helps get you ready for fifth dimension. And you say, well, how is that possible if these two are arguing? But sometimes that's what it takes. Because like I said, I was so upset by what my twin did to me, but it made me dig deeper. And that's why now I understand metaphysics and all the stuff I understood that I didn't understand before 2014, 2015, and 2016 and afterward. So a judgment card means you have to make changes based on tuition and intellect. Now, the justice card, which is usually number 11 degrees or 8 degrees, depending on which card deck you're using or how it's placed on your chart, that's Libra energy, which you see your Libra right there. But that's logical decisions. But when you see the judgment or the 20 degrees, that's intuition and intellect. So you have on your chart, you see that. So in some ways you're being forced to make logical decisions. Like this is the logical way for me to travel. The logical route for me to take. But you also got to make it in your intuition and intellect as well. And that's why I say with some twin flames, because my friend, and I just put his him and his twin got back together. They've taken each other through hell. I've known them both since about 2014. But now they're back together finally. So sometimes with the twin flames, you do say that I'll never talk to so and so again. But somehow so and so, just like the universe is working on you, they're working on her. And as crazy as you don't think, all of a sudden you two are together somewhere. And then all that tough guy talk fails because you know you're in love with that person. How can you not be in love with yourself? So now that eye contact is made, and most likely the person that's going to make the first move will probably be me because she's always been timid in that area. Not timid when she's on some payback, totally different person. But then next time she won't be so determined to fight against you. Because now this time she realizes it's her chance to connect. Whereas before she took it for granted. But we don't work together no more. So if you act stupid now, we may not see each other for another 5 years or whatever it was. 3 years. And that's all it takes is a little bit of communication that breaks the ice. To at least get to communicate. So the judgment card is saying this is the time to stand up and make a decision based on higher consciousness. And possibly if you were going through a wounded stage, when the judgment card shows up, it means that maybe your wounds are now healing and you can put the past behind you. And now you may be absolved if you're willing to accept it. Because a lot of times people won't accept it. Like they've been forgiven, but they won't accept it. So you have to stand and be willing to accept, but it's also forgive and forget. And that could take time because, like I said, 2 years ago, you might have been saying, I'll never talk to her again no matter what. I don't care what they do. And this is why I have a female on my street that looks just like my twin, and all kind of unbelievable stuff happens with her. I got up this morning, like I told you, I get up around 4 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, a truck is coming my way, and their headlights are going through the window. And I said, now who the hell is this at 4 o'clock in the morning? Because my neighborhood is usually really quiet. And then somehow I just knew, I guarantee that truck is associated with that female that lives up the street that looks like my twin. And it was, because that's exactly where it turned. And if you were to come on my street, her family is the only family on my street where they have like big pickup trucks and trucks that are used in construction and stuff like that. So again, that wasn't a coincidence. It's just a calling. Like I said, I heard some strange music. Went down to look, and I didn't know where the never found out where the music was coming from. Went downstairs to see the music, and it was at least 4 females out there, 2 kind of like adults, and 1 little kid, and one little kid like almost like a baby, still a baby, maybe like within 1 or 2 years old, and then another kid maybe about 4 or 5 or whatever. But they were all the same ethnic background as my twin, and they actually live on her street, up the street, across from her. So again, that's another message about her. So even though I don't see her as much, and when I say twin, not really my twin, but she looks like she used to look exactly like her. But that's like she's a soulmate. So she's gonna stay there, and they're gonna keep on keeping it in my consciousness because they do. That's part of the reunification. And only way that'll happen will be some strange shit. I'll be in some department store somewhere, or sometimes I go to a store that stays open 24 hours or something. And somehow it'll be some type of contact. Eye contact, or might actually be conversation. Because I would definitely say hi. Like, at the end of the day, I don't have no problems with her. So your judgment card of 20 degrees is telling you about a purging that has to take place that makes you ready for whatever your divine mission or whatever. And the Judgment card also says you may want to share your experiences in a group. That's why when we look in your 11th house, or look anywhere where Aquarius is on your chart, and you see Mercury, that's communications, and this is your 11th house where Scorpio is. But anything with Scorpio in the 11th house is a group, or a group that has hidden knowledge or secret knowledge or metaphysical knowledge and stuff like that. And your that hook is 3 degrees. That's Keris, the nurturer, and that's 3 degrees, which is again is Gemini, or the 3rd house, or the Empress, or Venus. And Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, and Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So essentially, and then your Taurus rules your 2nd house, and your 2nd house is right there with Aquarius. So I don't really know what you've been through. I don't know if you know who your soulmate or twin soul is, who your twin flame is. I don't know if you guys fought, but it's looking like y'all definitely fought in a past life. And I already did your Venus retrograde before. Now, Jupiter just went retrograde today, and your Jupiter is retrograde. So what is ever going on in this house right here, your house of communications, and with Pisces is spiritual, Jupiter retrograde makes you question belief systems. And things you didn't agree with before, you'll be more inclined to agree with now. Jupiter retrograde also gives you a whole lot of energy. But still, you're going to have to be careful, because right now Pisces is being misled. See, now you want to look at the chart on the right. Right away, where you see Pisces, 1717, again, that's karmic. Number 17 can deal with Saturn or karmic. But it can also deal with Aquarius, the star card. It can also deal with anything with finances or business. Because I'm pretty sure this is, let me make sure. Yep, that's your 8th house. And even Mercury at 22. And then Lilith, which is like the dark side of the moon, or hidden feminine feelings inside of yourself. That's Lilith, again at 20 degrees. And if you notice, Jupiter retrograde is at 24 degrees with the vertex cross at 20 degrees. Now, I keep telling you, 24 is the return. Now, Keris retrograde is at 14 degrees. Now, 14 degrees is temperance or Sagittarius energy. Now, to make sure we get this off your chart, you may find yourself in a serious relationship with either a Sagittarius, an Aquarius, or a Capricorn. That's because of Juno. Now, your vertex, you may find yourself in some type of soul situation with a Leo or a Taurus. That's your vertex. Seventh house, you may find yourself in some type of relationship with Cancer energy. And then following your Venus, you may have some type of connection, like I said, with Aquarius or Scorpio energy. So now if you're listening, most of this is going on right now. And I'm trying to teach people You can have a relationship in your dreams, even though most people want it physically. If you work in customer service, and if you check your horoscope daily, they might tell you love is coming this week. Now you might say, the whole week went by and I didn't know love. But what you may have forgotten about was that female customer that took a liking to you, and almost everything you said, she brought it immediately. And then when another guy walked up and tried to put his 2 cents in, she immediately ignored him. But if you spoke, she said so you and her did share a unique relationship, because her relationship with you was totally different than how she responded to the other dudes. So that's this energy I'm talking about, because a lot of this is energy. See, humans don't want to hear that. Humans want to see it, touch it, taste it, and feel it. They want the 5 system. They want to hear it. But unfortunately, this is energy. It works different ways, but it knows what it's doing because it's getting you ready. Now, because I know the universe went out of its way for me and my twin to connect. This is why I get mad at females, because they see it, but they keep fighting against it anyway. They see the same shit I do, but they want to keep on playing hard to get a fight against it. But then when they don't have it no more, now they miss it. But when they had it every day, it's too available, so they don't need it. They don't want it. I don't want to be with him as long as I don't see him talking to somebody else. Because the moment I see him talking to somebody else, I'm going to throw a fucking fit. Because that's how my twin was. She was ready to tear that building down one day, because I was over there laughing with somebody else. Now she's furious. Like, that's what motivated her, was drama. And I figured she must have been a boxer in a previous life, because she really wanted the fist fight. I would look at her and be like, wow, this female really wants, like, even before I knew she was my twin, like, she was ready to fight at the drop of a dime. And unfortunately, because of energies like that, now I finally found my place. Pretty much, I'm pretty happy. I don't want to deal with that crazy shit no more in this lifetime. I think I paid my dues. And the last thing I need is somebody that has all that crazy ass energy. Can't we just sit down and talk? So that was going to be an extra more and more years, because the universe put us together, but she's not going to cooperate. She's just going to do what she does, duke it out, or keep lying. Because she made it seem like I'm stalking her. When if that building had cameras, you would clearly see her coming after me. So she made it like a living hell. So she would have to grow up out of that. The universe would have to put her in a position that the next time she's seen me, she wouldn't do all that silly shit. And if you're listening, that could take years. Last time I seen her was August 2016. Now, has there been supernatural contacts? Yeah. That's normal for twin flames. But it's got to get to the point where she really wants to see you in some form of conversation. And the reason why it didn't happen before was I didn't want that bubble. I didn't know what twin flames was, but I know what temptation is. And I'm used to the supernatural. Like I said, I've been spiritual. I've been on the planet already for over 40 years. So I know all about spiritual, supernatural stuff, dreams, strange stuff. I've seen all that shit. Just now they call it twin flames and soulmates and all that stuff. But that stuff been going on. So we both had to go through whatever we had to go through. She has to get to the point where it's not just going to be a love story from day one. Because she's that type of person. She's ready to dive in bed and give it all up. You don't even know the dude. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with you? We did that. I did that shit without, you know what I'm saying? That's young people shit. I'm wise enough to know I ain't jumping to bed with nobody. I don't know you. You might be carrying a package. What the fuck? I'm not interested. It's too fast. So she has to get to the point where she can slow down a little bit. If he wants to communicate, I'm going to have to communicate, because he ain't making no moves without conversation. And then where I'm at the point where I kind of was at the point then, but way more now. I'm way more cool now. I'm way more relaxed. Like with twin flames, it's a lot of energy. So anything she did, it would trigger me. But that's how twin flames is. Because I know when I finally wanted to talk to her, like every time I try to talk to her, she's just an a-hole. Which I kind of respected though. Because from her viewpoint, she's like, we could have been together. Like with her, it was just weird. Like she was just on some diva shit. You know, because before I knew we was twins, I knew I liked her. You know, and I don't just like anybody. So I did try to tell her, but she never would talk and shit. So I thought she was just playing game, which she was. So from my perspective, it's like, yo, we could have been together a long time ago, but I'm talking to you. And I told her too, but she kept on doing it anyway. I'm talking to you, but you ain't saying nothing back. What would you have me do? And that's because my ascendant is Gemini, and Geminis need that. And then with her, she was like, fuck it, you just gonna believe me. I don't have to prove myself shit. You should have just took it. You know, I'm here offering it. You saw it by the way I look at you. You should have been more aggressive. And I'm like, nah, I already did all that aggressive shit. I ain't gonna be aggressive. Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna start off talking. We're gonna do this slow, and we're gonna do it kind of mutually. Otherwise, it ain't gonna happen. So it was like a war, and that war just broke out like crazy. So now, if we ever come together again, she's got to be like, well, I know how he is. He wants to talk. So I got to like chill. My Aries energy, I got to chill because he's going to want to talk. And now I'm going to be more like, listen, I know, like I can't say it to her because people got pride. But at the end of the day, I know you need me. Like you need me, I need you. Like we're twins. But I'm trying to at least talk to you. But, you know, we got to talk. We don't have to talk about nothing big, but we got to start somewhere. So she's got to be more inclined to understand that and work with it. And that'll be the first, you know, the first thing. But the universe really is not going to necessarily bring us together until she's ready on that level. Because any other level I could care less about. Which I never really, like I'm a different dude, you know. I don't worry about shit. But that's because I'm spiritual. So I'm not really worrying about none of that other stuff. Like stuff she probably worried about, like a female gonna worry about a man in her life, her daughters and stuff like that. And I understand she should worry about stuff like that. But I was just trying to get communication going. Because I'm like real cool. But she thought I thought like her, but I don't think like her because she's on some low level bullshit. Like she like I'm talking about 2014 to 2016. She was the epitome of a freaking drama queen. And you gotta understand where I worked at. Like most of those people, they're younger, so they're still on stupid shit, arguing and just dumb stuff people do when they're young. And I mean like 20s and up, 20, 25 and up. But they were still like kids, and some of them was younger than that. But most of them was like in the 20 and up range. But they still want some kiddie shit. Like I'm on some grown man shit. Nigga, I'm just here to get a paycheck. I'm not here for the silly shit y'all on. You know, I've outgrown that. But it's still silly. Like at some point you gotta realize because you ain't never gonna grow up if you keep doing dumb shit. Like if you 20 years old and if you 25 and you still doing 20-year-old shit, you stupid. And that's why sometimes you see a old ass motherfucker in jail for doing something some kid would have done. Because he's hanging out with the wrong crowd. You're not 20 no more, dude. You 25, 26. When that judge see you, the first thing he's gonna say is, why is this idiot out here hanging out with young ass kids? And that's why I had a dude in my neighborhood. Same thing. Big ass man, big ass dude, but he's acting like he's 17. Dude, you ain't 17. You're a grown ass man. Don't hang out in front of people's houses. Don't hang out like you doing. Because you're going to get yourself in trouble one way or another. Because like I said, if my life had been different, I would have served that dude. You're not going to be hanging out nowhere around my house, dude. I would have been ready for violence. So don't hang out. You're not a kid no more. All right. So now what I did was show you. And that's why I know there's a lot of information, but that's why I always tell people to take notes. But that's what you're going on your chart. Essentially, yours was all past life, communication reasons for some reason. So what you have to do in this life, primarily with your twin flame, your twin soul, is to more or less communicate. Now, the reason why that's difficult, because females never going to see things the way men do. Now, me, I'm cool. Like, I don't need all this dialect. I don't need all that bullshit. I'm cool. But a female, she need dialect and stuff like that. And she's going to try to see what makes you tick. So you can't always be like I'm real mellow. But a lot of females going to want to see you in a more manly type persona. And that's why some females will just piss you off just to see you in that realm, which I don't even like to be in that realm. So that's why I said it's not going to be easy. And like, y'all got to understand, I was getting mine since I was a little ass kid. That's why I don't got to prove nothing to nobody. People think, oh, you got to. I already did that shit. Shit motherfuckers did when they got older. I did that shit when I was little. Like, when I was a little ass kid, I always had my shit down. So now I don't like it, because to me that's like being real aggressive, and I don't like being that person. But you'll meet people to try to pull you back into that mentality, and I don't want it. If you think I'm soft, good. As long as you don't put your hands on me or touch nothing that don't belong to you, me and you won't have a problem. I can walk past you, because all you doing is spin words. You don't know me. You don't know me personally. I don't give a fuck what you think. You understand? As long as you don't make that mistake that some people make, and they find out very quickly, that wouldn't be wise. My whole history is violence. That's the easiest thing for me to do. That's why I don't like to do it. It's easy to fly out the handle and hurt somebody. I got a history of doing that. Sending a motherfucker to nurses' offices and all kind of crazy shit. My whole history is violent. So what do you think I'm afraid of? So that's why I don't like to play these silly games that happen. So I have to be able to deal with this on who I am now. But unfortunately, a lot of times when you talk to people, they don't get it. It's only when they finally see that other side that they realize, oh shit. So in this communication thing I'm trying to tell y'all that I have with my twin, that's what that's all about. Because she has to be want to communicate on a more mature level, where I don't have to be all mean or whatever. And she has to be willing to listen so that we can have real communication. And these are probably the reasons why we're not communicating till this day. I really don't even think it's about fear no more. If you want me to tell you the truth, I think at one time it was about fear, because she knew she fucked up. She knew she got me fired by lying on me, and she probably thought he don't want nothing to do with me. But I don't think she feels that way now. And to me, I don't even care about none of that crap. That shit was years ago. So the universe would have to bring us together again and put us in a position of that. And I know I would just like, if I seen her, I would just be like, hey, how you doing? And I would have like a smile on my face or something, and that would be my way of telling her I really do want to talk to you. You know, can we finally get past this stupid shit? And then the rest is on her. But can I see it happening? Definitely. When? I have no idea. But the universe will, they'll make it known. And like some twin flames, they know when they're going to meet their twin. You can feel it. But at the end of the day, I'm just beyond that low level shit. And I'm not letting nobody pull me back into it. Because that's something this world tries to do. Tries its best to pull you back down into this silly shit. And I'm not with it. And I feel like it takes a lot more strength to not get pulled back into that low level shit than it does to go back and whip somebody's ass. You know what I'm saying? Because that's easy for me. That's nothing. That's like basic 101. I was doing that shit when I was little. Nigga, I'm a grown ass man. I'm not on that shit no more. I be telling people quick. When people think they gonna play me out, I let that motherfucker know quick. Like, oh no, you got me confused with somebody. That don't happen. Like, I'm not that dude for the most part. So I really don't know where else I can go with your chart on that level. But you're karmic. But what I am telling you is this. You're about to experience some type of return. Now, I told you it could be in the physical. It could be in dreams. It could be somebody you are around that has the same type of energy as your twin. It could be somebody near you that looks like your twin or whoever. And some people might say, I don't even know who my twin is. But if that's true, then they might be getting ready to come in your life at some point. Now, you really don't have a lot of retrogrades except for Venus. We'll talk about that, and Jupiter. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And then I'll show you another way they determine. There's a couple of things I could do with the chart on the left. The chart on the right, pretty much I was just showing him that Saturn entered the south node. How do you know your south node? It's opposite of where that little horseshoe is. So right now the true node is on family. The universe is focusing on family, teenage to adult education, land and property or real estate, ancestors, vehicles and travel, the heart, or Imom Coeli, which is the mother, but she's connected to the moon. And the Imom Coeli is also always going to be in your subconscious mind. And that's the true north node. And you see the number 18. That number 18 is the moon card. So you do have Imom. You do have the moon in this house. And right now that's in the 12th house of endings with the EP. That's the chart on the right. You go right across opposite it, you see Capricorn. Now that is all about karma. At that time, it was in the 6th house of service, like I said. So your whole twin flame Vesta retrograde was about something about service. Twin flame, service. But, and it's also in the 4th house, which is family. But, unfortunately, y'all had a lot of, just seemed like y'all had a serious communication or doubting each other for some reason. Strong doubt. And remember, Scorpio is very suspicious anyway. Takes a long time for a Scorpio to trust you. Once they trust you, they can be real loyal to you. So your whole thing with your twin flame has something to do with doubt. So you would have to get yourself to the position that you ain't gonna be suspicious or doubt. And I hate to tell you this, but even if she was doing something wrong, you have to get yourself to the point where you're not gonna react on a low level, a low vibration. That's why I said when you hear me talk, like with my twin, I don't really care about none of that. Because first off, it would take a long time before me and her ever could, like I could feel that way for her. And whatever I felt before, I didn't even understand what twin flames was. I know I had a great love for her and still do, but it was never like I only want you with me and you're only going to be with me. And most of that crazy misunderstanding came from her. If you were to go back, I was always trying to reach out to her and trying to talk to her. And all that bullshit always came from her. That's just facts. But to be honest with y'all, I'm glad she did it. Because I tell God quickly, I have a lot of talks with God. I don't deserve this bullshit. Now, I don't know I don't know what the hell I did in the past life or what the hell's going on, but I don't deserve this shit. And I be having some deep-ass talks with God. Especially when I'm getting ready to go to bed and I get hit with this, I owe all this money. How the fuck did just 30 minutes ago, I didn't know all this fucking money, and now all this fucking money. And I get mad. Like, do you ever stop fucking with me? Like, I go off. Like, y'all don't know. But he took care of it. Like, boom. So I look at this whole thing more of as a walk with God than a walk with a twin flame or a walk with humans. This for me is a walk with God. And I really don't, to be honest with you. Like, even when I was reaching out for my twin, I did reach out for her over and over. She rejected me every time. I do have love for her. She rejected it every time, but she always chased it. After she rejected it, she always chased it. So the female was a little nutty. Now, all this other stuff going on, I think it's impressive that the universe goes way out of its way to keep my twin in my consciousness, and also my soulmate. Like even her, she's real powerful. All kind of crazy stuff be happening around that female, and she's different. I mean, back then, she definitely was ready. Now I don't know about now because like a year or two have gone by, and she is a different person, looks totally different. I didn't even know who she was when I seen her because she left and came back to the neighborhood, but she was gone for a while. So I'm not even saying she feels that way. It doesn't feel that way. I don't know. And to be honest with y'all, I'm not, like that's just something that can't happen anyway. But I'm at a place that I'm cool. Because like I said, anybody I talk to, it's got to be a level of maturity. That's why I say the woman I was with for 8 years, she was 8 years older than me. And if I meet somebody now, she'll probably be older than me. Because I'm really I was forced to grow. But now that I grow, don't try to make me go backwards because I won't do it. Like I'm not going to play games. And when I study scriptures, I see that they did that to Apostle Paul. They had Apostle Paul running all over the place. I'm not going to do that. Now, Acts chapter 19, they did the same thing to Moses. They said, secure the mountain. And he said, I already did. And they said, secure the mountain. He said, why are you telling me to secure the mountain when I already did? And they said, go down there and secure the mountain. So we're not going to play these little sucker games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that nigga. And then somebody else, I seen it in the scriptures where Elijah, where they kept coming to Elijah and saying, why are you here and stuff? Like, why do you keep asking me, why am I here? You're God. You should know why I'm here. Like I'm not going to play them silly games, So I'm a different dude. But I understand certain things. But that's a long, those are decades of walking with God. I understand certain things. But you also have to move on to your place. And people can't keep holding you back. And this is why when you see when Jesus Christ came out that sepulcher, that cave he was in, Mary Magdalene tried to hold him. He said, touch me not, woman, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. So it comes a time when you really ascend. You're higher now. You're not third dimensional no more. You're a higher dimension. You're just in this physical body. But really, you're almost ready to get the fuck up out of here. Enough's enough. So I'm not going to let somebody pull me back. So when you realize what I'm teaching, when you realize that you are a universal citizen, that's what Apostle Paul did. Get your hands off of me. I'm a Roman. See, what that was showing you was Paul had evolved and he was higher now. Now, once that Roman soldier found out that Paul was a Roman, he was terrified and he knew not to touch Paul again. Now, you have to understand, where I went yesterday morning, the woman that was there, she tried to give me a hard way to go until she realized who I was and who I know. So it took her a while to get used to saying it, but now she calls me Mr. And she says, have a good day, Mr. Now, I'm not saying she should call me Mr. Y'all are missing a point. I don't give a fuck what y'all call me. But just don't disrespect me and don't touch something that don't belong to you. That's all. That's all that was about. Now, where I work at, I say yes, sir, all day long. I say yes, ma'am, all day long because I'm old school. I'm older. I'm not into this stupid generation that you want to fight about everything. Everybody's a tough guy. See, I know real gangsters. Everybody's a tough guy. But then as soon as they get you, you rat everybody out. Like Takashi did. See, that's a fake gangster. That's not a real gangster. So I'm more on a different level where I've been here a long time. I've grown. I've evolved. And I'm going somewhere else. Now, as far as my twin, I'm sorry if she didn't, she's at a different level. But I can't go backwards. And I'm not telling her to come upward. All I asked her to do, let's talk. I think it would be awesome. We're the same soul, a different body. I'm sure if we could just talk, we probably could get along. But you won't even talk. But yet you'll wage a war with me. And you'll attack me. And I don't even know you like that. So if I did something in the past life, I'm totally sorry. But I don't know. But having somebody attack me is nothing new. My whole family's dysfunctional. So that's why I said I have good talks with God. Because I'm constantly being challenged, but I challenge back. And how I got thrown into the deep was I actually started challenging God years ago about how boring this life was, and you call yourself God and blah, blah, blah. And so I got thrown in the deep, the supernatural. And that, David talks about the deep if you ever read his writings, and he talks about the valley of the shadow of death. That shit is like a jungle of supernatural. But I'm still here, thank God. So the whole point is, when you allow the universe to teach you, you grow and you become stronger. And as they said, then you can teach other people whatever you need. And that's why you can't be afraid, and you can't run the bubblegum astrology. Because if you run the bubblegum astrology and all you do is please yourself, then it's a good chance that you'll be burning in hell. Or whatever your karma is, you have to go through it again, because you have to learn that this shit ain't about you. You're on God's planet. You're supposed to be asking God, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Not what can you do for me? How can I use your astrology to benefit myself? What you're doing is raking up a lot of bad karma and a lot of debts that you're going to have to pay. I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be back. All right, before I continue, I just went outside. It is beautiful out there. I mean, up in the sky. I got to find out what I'm looking at. Now, this picture that y'all going to see, I'll probably do it at the end of this video. I just got to get it. So just give me a moment. Okay. I think I told you all about the two umbrellas, the yellow umbrellas. See that? I don't know if I finished telling y'all that. But anyway, this truck pulled up outside. See, the way my house is built, if you want to send me a message, there's only certain ways you can do it. So the universe is always sending me messages through that window. People standing there and all kind of crazy shit. And my soulmate that looks just like my twin used to anyway. She used to always stand over there and stuff. So some courier van pulled up today, and like that's how the universe is telling you that somebody's thinking about you or they want to talk to you. You'll get messages like that has to do you might have phone problems, or some type of mail trucks is always pulling up around you or some stuff like that. So I happened to look at why that courier van was there, what was going on, and sure, then I happened to notice a yellow umbrella, but it was really two. It was one right there at the corner, and then one up the street. So that was another twin flame message, but it's also the color yellow, because they keep showing me the color yellow. And when I say they, I mean the people who really run this universe. And also, so I'm sure there's a message there, but I don't know when I'll get to looking it up. But that's pretty sweet. Plus, today was a real beautiful day and stuff. So, like, the messages will always keep coming. It's very powerful. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's always going to matter on who you are, who you really are. Not just who you are in this incarnation, but who you really are. Because a lot of people on this planet, you may be tapped into, like, some very powerful, universal identities. All right. Like somebody like King David was probably more than just King David. All right, so I was trying to figure out who I saw in the east, but yeah, Arcturus is who I saw in the east, and then the moon was beautiful up there in the sky. Capello, see, Arcturus is very bright, and so is Capella. Capella is very bright, and even Spica can be very bright too. But that's how the sky was. I didn't really see Procyon, but I'm sure it was out there. If I went to look for it again, I probably could see it. And Sirius is usually pretty bright too. But I definitely saw the moon, and Aldebaran could be pretty bright. Oh, Mars is out there too. I just know it was beautiful. So I don't know what's going on with my neighbors, why they're starting to leave the lights on again. But see, it's the reason why the war started with them, because they have all this debris, and the debris always comes down on our property, and they won't come clean it up. And you could tell like it's supernaturally done, because I remember one day my car was in the shop, and none of the debris came down. The moment I got my car out the shop and parked my car, all of a sudden it rained or something, and all their debris came down, and their garbage can even came down and was laying on my car and all that. And they won't come get it. Like they never come get it. Like they never apologize. They never come get it. And then one time we got a summons for their debris. I was like, oh hell no, I'm not getting no summons. And like I went over there to talk. Now I've known these people my whole life since I was little. I went over there to talk to them. They wouldn't even open up the door. Just stupid stuff. Like, but this shit go on all the time. It's like it would literally drive you crazy if you didn't know what planet you were on and just what this planet is like. Like these people just be on some bullshit, and they keep thinking that you can't do nothing about it. Like it's a whole lot of shit I could do and shit. But then it's like, damn, does anybody go up on this motherfucker? That's what I like to know. Does everybody act like they're like 13 on this planet? Like real talk. Just a question. Like if you get offended, that's my point exactly. Why I get so offended. It's not like I said your name or nothing. So it's just motherfuckers just be on some shit at all times. Like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, locked in on stupid and shit. And they mad because somebody telling the truth. And that's what makes me laugh. Like that's why you're mad at me. Because I said something that's a true statement. It's not like I'm lying. Like y'all gotta understand, my background was hood. My background was street. I used to come on TV, say the same shit I'm saying now, and when you see me, I be in the hood and shit. I be in a bar, I be in a thug bar, sitting by myself and shit. And niggas used to just look at me and say, damn, they're like, that's a real motherfucker. You know, cause he's accessible. They're like, most niggas like him, they not accessible. They somewhere safe talking shit. Say this motherfucker come out and be in the hood and shit. I be in the Ave and the cars be riding by yelling, like tooting their horn at me and shit. Like that's that crazy motherfucker be talking shit. Like it's real shit, nigga. It ain't like I'm lying. I ain't sitting here making this shit up. Why y'all mad at me and shit? The bottom line is this: it's gonna come a time when all that immature shit and all that little kitty shit and ducking real shit, you want to pay for that. God's not joking. The devil got y'all thinking that everything's lovely. It's the same thing like Sodom and Gomorrah. They thought Sodom and Gomorrah was gonna be there forever, but that's not the case. Because God just sit back. God feels like you got the Bible. God gave you enough to realize that you're supposed to be doing your part. So when you take the easy way out, you got to pay for that. Too many other people have died that didn't take the easy way out. God can't just forget those people. All right. So give me one more moment. I'm getting this little thing together. I'm going to put at the end of the video what the space looked like when I went outside. It was so beautiful. Especially Arcturus in the east, because it's over there by itself. That's interesting. See, because Spica and Arcturus, they almost got the same color. But it wasn't a southeast, so maybe it was a Spica. But if I had to say who I thought it was, I think it was Arcturus. But it was definitely more the southeast. Right? Well, not really. Nah, I'm getting backwards. No, it wasn't. It was more like the northeast, because the southeast is going further and further up the highway. So yeah, it was Arcturus. Northeast. Alright. Give me one more moment. I'll make this. And then I'll put this picture at the back. And the crescent moon is out there. The moon was beautiful. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap this up for the most part. Now, just so everybody knows, Jupiter retrograde is going to make people feel like they have more energy, and they're going to be more willing to try stuff, and stuff they didn't want to do before they will. Just like you heard me saying before, I would have been like, I'll never talk to her ever again. But now I would be like, if I did see her, I would actually try to initiate some type of communication with her. But like I said, I don't regret. Like with her, they were trying to pull me back to the early days, but I ain't going back to the early days. Like I said, you got to understand, everything you do, and Jesus Christ said this, everything you do is being studied and written. And you have to understand that's what the book of Job was about. They said at the top, allegedly in heaven, and they're watching people on earth, and the only person on earth that they really wanted to get to know better was Job. You understand? They watched, they study everything, but Job was that dude. And so they attacked Job and destroyed Job to see what he was made of. And then at the end, Job was so real that they had to restore everything they took from him. That should go on for real. That's why when the Bible said there was no one like him on the earth, that's because he's been studied. They done studied this dude. And believe me, that's why if you read 2 Corinthians chapter 12, they took Paul up to paradise. That's the same place Jesus took that dude on the cross. Today I tell you, you'll be in paradise. Luke 23, 43 to 46, 2 Corinthians 12, authorized King James Bible 16:11. If you're going to do it correctly. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Now, so that means Paul was already chosen to go higher. Like when he leaves that body, he will be somewhere else. Like probably making decisions and shit. All this shit matter. So Jupiter retrograde is going to make a person feel like I can do this again, or they're going to be willing to do things they didn't want to do before, or they may question belief systems and stuff like that, but they're going to have a lot of energy. But now here's the trick. But before we do that, before we go on to that, we're going to go back to this chart to the left. So his true north node again, definitely family related, twin flame related. I already explained all that, but with Aries energy. But then his opposite, his south node, is Libra, still relationships or partnerships or agreements. But that's in the 10th house. And the 10th house is ruled by Capricorn and Saturn. And that AC is, his ascendant is Capricorn energy. And then Sagittarius is where he got the Juno. So anytime you see Sagittarius, that's probably going to be something that has to do with his twin soul. So again, true north node, present life, south node, past life. So his past life is somehow connected with career, relationship, maybe business agreement, business partner, whatever, but now another way they do past life, they go with your ascendant. They say your ascendant represents present life, but your 12th house represents past life. Which again, it is dealing with that Sagittarius energy, and it is dealing with the 12th house of service, because Virgo represents the 6th house of service, but your Virgo is in the 9th house, which is ruled by Sagittarius. So it's almost like they say you would have to serve with that person without doubt. Like the implication seems to be that y'all were together or whatever in a past life, but there was a lot of doubt. Even Venus retrograde could mean a person's questioning love and all that. So it's almost like your challenge in this life would be to be in a relationship where you felt confident about it. See, like I said, I've been somebody God been working on a long ass time. This is decades of God working on me. But I learned it. I don't know when I learned it, but I learned you got to go through that fucking door and stop being afraid. And that's why I said people don't like that, because people want the easy way out, fake it till you make it, and all this kind of shit. But they don't realize you got to answer for that. And when that person you're selling God out for, or that thing you're selling God out for, is not, they're not going to be nowhere near you when your judgment comes. So all this piss, whatever you selling God out for, whether it's pussy, money, female, good-looking guy, whatever you're doing, none of that's going to be nowhere near you when you got to answer for what you did. And as far as all these other distractions and the matrix, that was allowed by God to be set up. Just like, let me give you another example, since they don't like when I talk anyway. These people, the real people of God. So you're telling me you got all these people on the planet that they have no history and no background, but y'all don't know who these people are? They got no history, no background. You don't know where they came from, but no matter where you go, especially in this country, you got to hear about them. Whether it's in a bad connotation, or if you're talking about great sports or great music or whatever they're known for. But yet these people have no history, and you actually believe that. How about those people that are fulfillment of what the Bible says is the real people of God that will be taken out of history for a period of time and then brought back in? See, this is what people should be waking up to. But when you're dealing with selfishness, or you like being on top, you don't want to deal with it. So what that means is when God comes to pull these people out, he's got to take you out, because you're showing God you don't care what God says. It's always going to be about you and what you want. So that's how you get replaced, because you're inflexible. When you really use astrology the right way, you can't help but know who these people are. And when you really use astrology, that number 22 is these people. When you really use astrology the right way, you're saying to God, how can I fit into your purpose? And that's how you'll always be around. That type of person ain't going nowhere, because they've humbled themselves. And the scriptures say if you humble yourself before God, he'll lift you up. But these people continually make everything about them. The Bible becomes about them, not about the real people of God. Astrology becomes about them and their purpose, and not about the real person of God. So these people are constantly telling God, we're here and we ain't going nowhere, which means he's going to have to bulldoze them out of here. Where they're going to be here one moment and then gone, like they never existed. But that's the choice they made by their selfishness. So that's why I said I'm out here to constantly say my whole life has been dedicated to saving people. But you can't get saved if you keep on being arrogant and doing it your way. So again, you got some type of past life connection, which is going to be a Jupiter Pisces connection. Now remember, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter used to rule Pisces. Now if you look on your chart, your Sagittarius is in the 12th house, and that is ruled by Neptune and Pisces. But Jupiter rules that. And also another thing you can know as well, because you have Sagittarius in your 12th house, it's similar to having Jupiter in your 12th house. And whenever you have Jupiter in your 12th house, that means you'll always have finances, especially if you're helping others in one way or another. So it's almost like your chart is saying you have a call to service, but for some reason when you work with your twin, or there was some form of doubt going on. And they're encouraging you to be able to work with your twin without having doubt, with having good communication, and your communication that is not, no doubt involved with it. Because even in your 6th house, which is Virgo or service, you got Gemini, which is communication, but then you got Chiron, which is the wounded healer, a wound that hasn't healed yet, and then you got 21 degrees, which again is karmic. Now 21 degrees is the world card, but the world card is Saturn energy, or karmic card. And I believe that card could also mean endings as well. And then it's 21 degrees, 9 minutes. Well, 9 would be Virgo. 9 would be the Hermit card, which is Virgo energy. And your 6th house is ruled by Virgo. And your Virgo is directly connected to your 9th house, which is going to be Sagittarius energy. And we're pretty sure Sagittarius is a sign that's going to be dominant on your twin flames natal chart. So as you see, when you look at the chart on the right, Jupiter is retrograde in Sagittarius. So you will definitely have some type of contact with this your twin flame, if you don't already have it. But you will. Now, YouTube has tons of information on how well I know my twin flame and the stages of twin flames. And you should know this stuff because it's going to be a major part of your life. Now, like I said, the Grand Trine, that's all fire signs. And that won't happen until the 14th. But that, of course, you see how long this reading was. That would be a totally different reading. But still, you could even read that up yourself. You can read that on yourself. But now, here's the hard part. Right now, the universe is going to take people into a dreamy type of love. With Jupiter retrograde, that's going to help. And if you notice in the 8th house, you got Neptune, Pisces. You know it's going to be very watery with Pisces in the 8th house, which is Scorpio energy. Very watery. And Mercury with the 22 again. And you notice the true north node is a 22. And like I told you, that 22 is the number of God's people. The one that are prophesied about in the Bible. And they're also connected to the 8th house, ruled by Pluto. Now, so you're going to have healing. Well, that's going into the 9th house as well. And you also got Vesta in the 9th house. Remember, the 9th house is Sagittarius energy. And look who's there, Aries. And that's your true north node. So you got Aries, you got Vesta and Aries. Just like you got Vesta and Aries. Medium Coeli at the sun sign. Again, with that 21 degrees, which is that Saturn again. See, so that 21 degrees, so that's Saturn in the 9th house or Sagittarius. Just like your Saturn is in your Sagittarius in the 9th house. So, even like under a placement like this, say you got an Archangel card reading, your twin will talk through most of that reading. Just letting you know. And how you know your twin is talking? primarily by the cards that come out, because every card has a zodiac sign back on the natal chart. But even what the signs they're saying, because this is like an opening for Sagittarius energy, aggressively, if I might add, because it's Aries, but that's your true north node. But it's also this great love, great feeling of love. Like with Jupiter being retrograde, this is what would make my twin say, I really messed up. He was a good guy. He really reached out to me all the time. He really cared about me. Well, now she would see everything totally different than she saw back then because of Jupiter retrograde. But only it's kind of like a fantasy though, because Neptune, see, Venus and Pisces is somebody that loves somebody too much. They're willing to sacrifice what they have for that person. And then that's when you wake up to a reality check after you suffer loss or you martyr yourself and you realize that person wasn't even worth it. But that's the type of vibration that's coming in. That's the type of energy that's going out right now. But that makes people come out. In fact, I studied this last night and they warned that this could even be like a crazy time. Because stalking, remember, this is the 8th house ruled by Scorpio. And that's stalking and jealousy and obsession. All this can come out as well. So in some ways, it might get people talking. They normally don't talk. But in a bad way, it could be a backlash. Because now you got maybe somebody being too codependent. And like a lot of times, like I said, I'm more Capricornian. Let's slow it down. That's my moon sign. But when you're dealing with energy like Aries, Aries is more like, let's go for it. So these are all possibilities that could happen. Now, in my case, like the female that lives in my neighborhood, like she, at one time, she was gun-ho. She was probably more gun-ho for us meeting than I was. But that was like a while ago. It's not the same person. So I don't know if this will have an effect or whatever. But you never know. Like, especially now that the weather's changing, I have a lot of outside work I need to do. And I know she'll be out there because she'll be walking them dogs and stuff like that. But like I said, you'll never know. You'll never know until the situation actually puts itself out there. But they made sure Mercury is there. And 22 is also the twin flame number. Even that number 2255. Now, I would want to check that out numerologically. And even now you're hearing more and more of them talk about reparation for these people, the real people of God, that they have enslaved for so long. But all of this is prophecy. But anything about the 8th house or the number 22 is talking about those people. Primarily. Alright, so we're looking at the number 2255 really quick. And this would be Sacred Scribes, Angel Numbers by Joanne. I think she calls herself Joanne Scribes. For the number 2255. Angel number 2255 tells you that important life changes may come about sooner than expected and in unexpected and miraculous ways. Now, y'all have to remember what I just told you about the people of promise. And that's what he did. God said, I'm going to bring you down unexpectedly, and I'm going to pull you back up. And that's why when Babylon is destroyed, they say in 1 hour, in a day. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah went down. And that's why I say all these people with the bubblegum astrology that ain't listening. Try to warn y'all. So you got Mercury at 2255 in the 8th house. And also Lilith is there because they said these people are the children of Lilith. That's what Sherry Shriner used to say, that those people were the people of Lilith. Now myastrologybook.com says that those people are the people of the 8th house, the people of Pluto. Now when you read Revelation chapter 9, notice how they talk about the bottomless pit, but they talk about the king that has a scorpion. That Scorpio, that's the 8th house, ruled by Scorpio. And that's the underworld ruled by Pluto. That's why I said this is not a joke. That's why, like I said, this is the hypocrisy. And the Messiah said, you people are so hypocritical. You act like you don't know how to read the signs of the times when it comes to spiritual stuff or Bible prophecy or prophecy. But you darn sure know how to read the signs of the time when you want to go fishing or when you want to do something. Now you know how to read the signs of the time. So it's the same thing. You want to use astrology for selfish reasons, but you don't want to use it for the reason that it was created. Like the wise men, and this is why they were wise men, because they used astrology to find the Messiah. So if you notice, right in the 8th house, look at the pyramid. Look at the pyramid pointing right at Pisces, right at the 8th house. Remember, Pisces represents the 12th house, the end, the reckoning. And then the 8th house represents that bottomless pit in Revelation 9, or the underworld, which is called the divine womb that the people of God came out of. That's number 22. And these people are represented by Lilith as being her children. Lilith is right there. And number 20, which is judgment. Now, when you go to the 12th house, true north node, you see 18 degrees, which is the moon, which is, see, your Old Testament, that's their book, the real people of God. And everything they did was by the moon. Their Passover was the moon. They left Egypt on a moon, a full moon. Okay? Now, the sun, the New Testament is the sun. That's why they call Jesus the Son of Righteousness, S-U-N, the day star. Now, this is what you would probably, for the most part, call your Christians or whatever. Whoever came to be called Christians. They will resonate more with the New Testament, the sun. But the real people of God, the original people of God, they were always with the night. God came in darkness and gave the law. Exodus 19, Exodus 20. Exodus 20, verse 21, and Moses went into the darkness where God was. At the cross, darkness showed up at Luke 23, 43 to 46. That's the same darkness that gave the law at Exodus 25. See, this is 20, verse 5. This is stuff you should know. Or Exodus 20, verse 5 and verse 21 of Exodus 20. This is the stuff you should know. Not difficult, but when you're selfish, all you care about is yourself, all you want to do is steal art from God about your life. What about you? What about your love life? What about blah, 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 blah. So that same God you ripped off is the same God coming in the number 20, which is the judgment card. And if you look on the chart to the right, that's all you see is 20, 20, 20. And this is why it got dark at the 12th hour. See, on this natal chart, what you're looking at medium Coeli, that's kind of close to where the 12th hour would be. And that's why the sun went dark, which would be that 20. That judgment. And the reason why the sun went dark at 12 p.m., it was the same reason why the Hebrews left Egypt at 12 a.m. Same thing. And then that judgment was placed on the sun, because that's who he was, son of righteousness, the day star, as she went. So when your Bible says, and the sun will become dark or whatever, that's what they're really referring to, the judgment that was placed on him. See, all this is metaphysical, mystical stuff that is not difficult to understand, but when your priorities are selfish, or you're based on just the flesh and not the spirit, you won't understand. But you have to remember, when you eat that cup, when you eat that, take that cup, eat that, whatever, you got to eat it whole. Because you're going to get everything that's coming with it. And nothing that you betray God for is going to be nowhere near you when that judgment comes, when that 20 comes. Look at all these 20 degrees on this chart. And I'm telling you, somebody that's been studying prophecy for decades, that 2019 will be a pivotal year. This is why they're talking about reparations. Now, these people have been in this country for, I think, well over 400 years, if you ask me. How come they want to talk about reparation now? You paid everybody else back. Why not these people? What is it about these people that you guys hate so much? All right, so let's finish 2255, and then we will have to look at that number 55 as well. Angel number 2255, important life changes may come about sooner than expected and in unexpected and miraculous ways. Well, who does miracles but God? Have faith and trust that the life changes you are experiencing are important and necessary in regards to your life purpose and mission, and the choices and actions you have taken have paved the way for new opportunities and adventures to manifest in your life. Maintain a positive attitude and outlook. Expect exciting new interests and experiences to enter your life. Your angels ask that you be open and receptive to your intuitive thoughts and feelings and take positive action as guided. Now, why are they telling you that? Because if you stop listening to your flesh, what about me? Where's my twin? What's my twin? Is my twin thinking about me? If you stop that bubblegum bullshit astrology and go back to what it's supposed to be, where you really are not just going love and light, but you're actually living love and light. You get rid of the catchphrases. Don't use them if you're not what you really say you are, because you're cursing yourself every time you say some shit that you're not doing. So when you really start to open back up to, and when you say the word receptive, well, that's a word that really has to do with the moon. But when you go back to your intuition and start listening and letting this spirit, like the scriptures tell you, let that spirit transform you. Renew your mind, transform your mind, conform your mind, and change your mind to the mind and ways of spirit, which is truth and spirit. All universal laws that any real spiritual person knows. So whether they accept the theology or not, they still keep their mouth shut when this spirit is talking. Angel number, so when you go back to your guides, that's when you begin to see things differently. And that's why I said, when I came out here on YouTube, like I had a spiritual background, but I was beginning to learn this whole twin flame, this whole metaphysical stuff. And I knew in my heart and soul what love really is. I knew in my heart and soul what all this was about. But I'm humble and I'm new to this new stuff. So I'm thinking maybe somebody will help me understand what I know. But all I got was a bunch of selfishness and people that don't want to hear it. So I had to learn all this stuff on my own. And I came to the conclusion of what this really is. When you stand up and accept your purpose that's on your natal chart, everything around you will have to work with you. Which means that people that you're not cool with, at some point they will begin to talk to you. You'll begin to get past that. Things will begin to come into your life that wouldn't have came if you cowered out. But when you begin to stand in your position and realize who you are, then the rest of these people got to bow down all this other stuff's got to bow down because you're in your natural habitat, which is your true north node. Angel number 2255 suggests that it's time to make positive changes in your life. Let go of old ways of doing and being that are no longer positively serving you. Release old doubts, fears, and perceived obstacles, and look forward to wonderful new opportunities and adventures. Keep in mind that everything happens for a reason and nothing happens by chance. So even though the reasons for the changes may not be clear at this point, trust that all will fall into place for you. These changes have come about so you can break free from old restraints and constraints, like captivity of 400 years, and freely pursue your soul mission and life purpose as a spiritual being. Now that's what I would call a Don Cornelius soul train. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 and 5 is 9. 9 and 5 is 14, which becomes the number 5. Okay. Now, let's just look up what the number 55 would stand for. Independence, freedom, exploring new areas of human experience. Independence, exploration, and adventure. Outward looking, forward looking, desiring and anticipating new experiences, new learning. Adventurous, self-sufficient. They rather enjoy going it alone. That's like somebody leaving. Not under any bounds anymore. No more bonds. So 55 does not mind being alone, but it's still other people are attracted to it. Independence, exploration, self-determination, freedom, and adventure. Lord, make it so for your people. In the name of Yahshua. Amen. And there can also be new beginnings, because 5 and 5 break down to the number 1. 5 and 5 is 10, which becomes the number 1, which represents new beginnings. And again, that would be your absolution, freedom. You're no longer guilty. God has fully absolved you. You paid your debt. You've been in hell on earth for a number of years. Of Genesis chapter 15, verse 14 to 16. You are now absolved. And now you can go. And that's why you see Lilith at 20 degrees. Because they told you what the judgment card means. See, y'all don't understand it. All those tarot cards and all that hidden stuff, they all point to this day I'm talking about. There's never been a time God has not been in control. That's why if you really want to know what's going on, read the book of Job. The book of Job is about this experience where you take somebody that's righteous with no fault and bring it down. And why were they righteous without fault? Because they had the same essence of God. But they were brought down. That's why the book of Job talks about angels. And then when God told Satan to go down, what does your book tell you? That fire came down. Because that fire represents those angels. Just like in Revelation 12, the stars come down. They're talking about the same event that took place. And Revelation 11 talks about the 2 witnesses that caused fire to come down. It's the same event. There's no separation. That's why for you to forsake such greatness, the presence of the Most High, for some little stupid stuff that ain't even going to be faithful to you anyway, and risk burning in eternal damnation in hell for eternity for something silly. That's like buying one of the richest mansions on the planet and not having no security and thinking somebody's not going to come to get it from you. Again, this is why they didn't just say, and some priest followed the star. They say wise men. Because to use astrology incorrectly or not use it at all is a lack of wisdom. Wise men from the east. Exactly where Arcticus or Arcturus is right now. All right, so now what else can we do? My purpose was to explain how to make the correct connection. That was part 1. Make the correct connection. It's you and God. Showed you how to do it in the Walk in Spirit video that's here on this channel. One thing good about this, I never claim to be perfect. I'm a teacher. So if you're ever hearing a video and maybe you don't resonate with a part or something like that, then fast forward. Get to the meat of the video. There's not a video I don't drop that doesn't have beneficial information. I don't know when the last time I dropped a Karmic video or me just goofing off. I be too busy. So anybody that's really seeking any type of truth, you will find it if you're looking for it. But if you're doing what most people do, you ain't taking no notes, you think somehow that you can hear all this information and suck it in, that's just silly. It's not going to happen. Almost everybody's channel I'm on, I got a pen and paper, or I'm looking up references. So like you saw me find all that information. When I went to Mecca Leslie, her different channels, I know the channels associated with her personally, I had a pen and paper and wrote that stuff down immediately. Went to those channels and hit my watch later button. So you just have to balance it out. We're at a time now where grown adults don't want to grow up. So they always want to be somewhere being happy or playing some video game or somewhere goofing off. And they don't want anything that means maturity. And therefore, oh, they don't want to stay in a marriage. They don't want to get married. Oh, they want to break up with this person and date that person. But that's what happens when you don't grow the fuck up. But you're pissing off God. Now, you just heard the number 2215. It's going to happen suddenly. Just like he told you in the Bible. They won't even know what hit them. But they're going. And they're eternally burning in hell forever. And you can't get out. Nobody's coming to save you. Because he already did that. His name was Messiah. But he made perfectly clear you have to obey him to love him. If you don't obey him, there is no love. I can sit here all day and say, I love you, I love you, I love you. If I'm not obeying them scriptures, if I'm not obeying him, there is no love. Now, all that other stuff is neither here nor there. Maybe there is another world you go into, or maybe you're just going to keep on living and living and living your life over and over again, and being re-given an opportunity. I don't know. I think it's like a clock. At some point, it has to stop. But everything revolves around these people are about to wake up. The ones I'm calling number 22. From my understanding, at the exact moment they wake up, the exact moment the physical world goes into fire. And that's it. And if you weren't one of these people with this Messiah, or with the Old Testament people or the New Testament people, or if you're not connected to Abraham through blood, it's over. Joke's over. You chose the selfish life. What about me? What about mine? Me. And that's what you got. And that's the fulfillment of Matthew chapter 7, where that broad and spacious road leads to destruction. But that's eternal damnation by fire, which is clearly talked about and seen throughout Scripture. In the book of Revelation, Malachi chapter 4, John the Baptist talked about it. Jesus Christ talked about it. Peter talked about it in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 7 18. Over and over and over and over and over. But yet, for some reason, people think it's not going to happen to them. They think somehow they're going to skip town on Judgment Day. Ain't nobody skipping nowhere. Everybody will be brought under this great kingdom and this great king. So now, that was my purpose for these 2 videos. As far as anywhere else you can go, I don't see why. And again, I encourage this gentleman to find out about the Great Trine on April 14th, 2019, all in fire signs, and how that will affect you personally But now if he's listening and taking notes, he should have a better understanding about karmic. You're pretty much a karmic assignment. And the karmic assignment is somehow you have to reconnect with your twin flame, your twin soul. And you both have to work on trusting each other, communication, and your service. Pretty much it looks like it's going to be some type of family and or spiritual service, but also helping others, like the community, whoever. And you say, what type of service? Most likely that'll be a service that you two will figure out when you're together. But pretty much it'll probably be stuff you see me doing, any 8th house stuff. Because even your Jupiter is in Pisces. So this is spiritual service, mystical service. And other than that, I don't know where else we can go. So this will conclude this video. Keep in mind I got sales going on. This is not a time to sleep. I'm telling y'all. That's why when I went outside, I'm going to show y'all what I was looking at. This is the universe. Remember, Sirius constellation is Isis. The Orion constellation is Osiris. Now to know more about your country, the red, white, and blue is Sirius A, B, and C. When they celebrate July 4th as Independence Day, they're celebrating the Sirius constellation. That's where they get July 4th from. All this stuff is readily information. You can usually find it on YouTube or go to a search engine. Make sure you're using a good one, a good search engine, and you can find the information there. I'm going to tell you again, even when you talk about the Hopi Indian prophecy, they know about the Sirius constellation. If you notice, I keep talking about the ethnic background, the ethnic group of my twin flame. They're known as being connected to the Mayans and connected to the Incas, and they're known to being connected to the Hopi prophecy or to Lilith. Or it's a place. There's a location on Earth called the 1040s. They're connected to that too. So it's wake up time. And I'm going to tell you again, the more you show loyalty to the Creator, the more this stuff you're out here dealing with these bubblegum astrologers and all that, that'll get done anyway. Because you're doing what you're supposed to. You won't have to fight so hard in your own strength to bring somebody to you. That person will come to you because you're in harmony with your purpose, which is going to force that person to become more in harmony with their purpose. This is Gad. God bless.